Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Hinata witnesses the hate the villagers have for Naruto and becomes the God Emperor of the world. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Hinata. Naruto? Oh my gods, Naruto, please stop. What is going on? Why were they doing this? I could barely see him. There were so many people. They were so angry, so loud, so violent. I knew it was Naruto they were attacking. I'd know his voice anywhere. It was hard to see him, but within the crowd I spotted his orange jumpsuit. It was stained with blood. Fireworks went off in the night sky. The noise drowned out Naruto's screams, but I could still hear him. Every year I loved watching the fireworks. The festival of the anniversary of the Kyuubi's attack was sad at times, but it was supposed to be a celebration of victory and triumph for our village. This night would forever change how I viewed those fireworks. I ran as fast as I could towards the crowd. Somehow I'd been separated from my father. I suppose I'd gotten distracted by so many festival attractions. He'll be angry at me when I see him, but right now that was the furthest thing on my mind. Right now the only thing that mattered was getting to Naruto. There must have been at least 50 villagers. They were all in a circle stabbing at Naruto, kicking him, punching him. He laid on the ground covering his head. I ran towards them as fast as I could. Tears were pouring down my face. I had to help him. I had to. I was short, so it was easy to run under their legs and maneuver around them. I tried to use what little chakra I had to move faster, but I've never been very fast or very strong. If only I was stronger. Somehow I managed to get to him. I ran under a man's leg and leaped forward just in time to stop a pitchfork from poking into Naruto's cowering body again. I engulfed him and used my body as a shield. I'd protect him against anything. Stop it! Why are you doing this? He never did anything to you. I screamed at the top of my lungs. Naruto's blood stained my clothes, my face, my hands, but I didn't care. Only one thing mattered. Protecting my Naruto. She's a Hyuga. Careful. One adult spoke. Little girl, get away from that demon. A woman spoke up this time. Someone grabbed me from behind and started to pull at my waist. I clung to Naruto, grabbing his top. No! Stop it! Don't hurt him. Why wouldn't they listen? I was too weak to hold on. As soon as they pulled me away, they began to attack him again. Oh gods! Hinata? I heard Naruto whisper weakly. His voice was extremely quiet, but I heard it. He spoke my name. I turned around and thrust my hand as hard as I could into the chest of the man who was dragging me away. A burst of chakra shot from my palm. It was more than I'd ever released. He dropped me and then fell face first on the ground. He went completely still. A few people who saw what I did actually backed away from me. I didn't care. I ran back to Naruto and covered him again. This time I was ready to fight. I had to protect him. My entire body was shaking as I dropped into a fighting stance, holding my palms out in warning. I couldn't activate my Byakugan, but right now I'd do whatever I could. What do we do? I heard one of them ask. He's dead. She killed him. A woman screamed while kneeling over the man I'd attacked. We won't get another chance to kill the demon. Another random villager spoke up. She's a murderer. Spoke another. That realization terrified me. I shook my head in protest. No, I sputtered. No, I can't be a murderer. My thoughts were interrupted by the painful feeling of something hitting me in the back of the head. After that it was hard to think. My body went limp and I fell flat. I couldn't move. All I could do was stare to the side at Naruto's helpless face. At least I could see his face now. His blue eyes were filled with tears as he looked at me. His gaze was weak. But then was I seeing things? His eyes, they turned red. Naruto, Hinata, she's bleeding. She came to defend me. Where did she come from? It doesn't matter. I have to help her. I have to protect her. I have to kill them. Yes, Kit. Look what they've done to you. To her. They don't deserve to live. What is that voice? Who is there? That doesn't matter now. Do you want power? Yes. I need to be strong. Ask and you shall receive. Is this a trick? You're wasting time, Kit. She is fading. Yes. I want power. I need power. The power to kill them all. Yes. Finally, Hinata, this has to be a dream. No, a nightmare. Naruto was glowing. There was this power around him. He stood up and roared. That roar was filled with so much rage, so much pain. It was terrifying, but somehow I wasn't scared. Hearing him roar made me feel safe. The next moments were all one big blur. There was so much screaming, so much blood. I tried to rise but my body wouldn't let me. All I could do was watch from my position lying helplessly on the ground. Watch as Naruto tore them all to pieces. It was disgusting. I should have been scared. Why wasn't I scared? Naruto ripped the head off of the last remaining villager, and let out another beastly roar into the night sky. I don't know what I felt at that moment, but I couldn't look away. Then he stopped, and turned his fiery red gaze on me. I shivered. I was helpless. Was he going to kill me too? Naruto walked towards me and reached down. I closed my eyes but I didn't feel pain. Instead I felt myself being lifted up. When I opened my eyes Naruto was looking down at me. His eyes were blue again. Are you okay? He spoke softly. I think so. He smiled. Despite the blood covering his face it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I couldn't help returning his smile. I'll keep us safe, he said to me. He carried me bridal style as he took off into a sprint. Just minutes ago I thought he was helpless yet now I was the helpless one. It looks like all his scars were gone. I don't know how but I was too exhausted to question it. I nuzzled my face into his chest. I don't know where he was taking me and I didn't care. He was okay. We were together. That's all that mattered. That's the end of the chapter. Please review. Surprise! I'm still alive. And I started another random story. Don't get too excited now. This was inspired writing and it's purposefully short. I don't know to what extent I'll continue it. I don't even know when I'm going to update my other stories. I just wanted to get back into the groove of writing even if it's something as short as this. What inspired me to write this was that lack of good evil/dark Hinata fanfiction out there. I see a lot of evil/dark Naruto fanfiction but Hinata is rarely a part of that. And when she is written so out of character that it just takes me out of the story. So I kind of put a challenge to myself to write a small story of a believable evil version of Hinata. Where she is still Hinata, just evil. We'll see how far I take this. There is a very real possibility that this might just be a one-shot. Don't expect much. But I hope you enjoyed it. Toodles. Another day had passed. Like usual I woke up in my own bed. I went to school and did my normal routine. School had been out for a week after the festival. They found 47 people dead but wouldn't give details about what happened. I knew that Naruto had done it. At least I think so. He saved me. But the very next day after the festival I woke up in my bed. Father was angry at me for separating from him during the festival but that was all. I even had clean clothes the next morning. There was no sign of the blood which covered me that night. Naruto gave no sign at school that he'd killed so many people. He played the same pranks, made the same jokes. He was still the dead last in class who couldn't even make a proper henge. I think I'm going crazy. Maybe I didn't murder that man after all. Maybe it was all just a dream and the deaths at the festival were just an unfortunate coincidence. It would be a huge relief to know that I didn't kill someone even if they were going to hurt Naruto. I had to stop thinking about it. Hello, and Naruto-kun. I saw him in the hallway during our lunch break. He moved towards me with his usual happy-go-lucky attitude. He walked with a bright smile, his arms resting behind his head. Not a care in the world. Oh hey Hinata, he stated casually. Then he just walked past me. Naruto went over to Sasuke to challenge him to a kunai throwing contest. Naruto always lost but that didn't stop him from constantly trying. Maybe it was just a dream. When Naruto inevitably lost, Kiba made fun of him like usual. Naruto rubbed his nose with one finger and played it off, pointing at Sasuke and vowing to become better than him. The class turned away in disinterest. When Kiba turned his back to Naruto, Naruto sent him a deathly glare. No one else saw that look but me. It was a look I've only seen Naruto give once. A look of rage, of malice, of hate. His expression lasted for only a second before it disappeared and his mask returned. It was hard to keep denying what I knew in my heart was true. Still, I had to know for sure. I followed Naruto home after school. Normally I'd go straight home and before dinner Hanabi and I would spar. I had plenty of time to make it home before our sparring session so I took the time to tail Naruto. He walked casually through the village. I didn't actually know where he lived. As he walked I could see the glares he received from so many people. I can't believe I didn't notice them until now. Naruto didn't seem to notice, or if he did he didn't show it. He just continued to walk with that carefree stride. He even had a contented smile on his face like he usually does. Is this really the same boy from that night? We finally made it to his apartment. I hid very far back but I was close enough to see where he was going. The building was disgusting. It was located in the poorest area of the village. He walked into the rundown apartment building and disappeared. I didn't know which unit he was in, but I only had to wait a few minutes to find out. I could see his silhouette in the window of the third floor. I was too far away and too low to get a good look. At least I knew where he lived. It made me so sad. He lived alone in such a terrible place. How could the village let this happen? How could the Hokage let this happen? How could anyone? I got home just in time to spar with Hanabi. Father didn't seem to notice that I got home late. Or if he did, he didn't care. As long as I was on time for the sparring session and our quiet dinners, I was spared his wrath. I began to follow Naruto home regularly after that. He didn't always go straight home. Sometimes he'd stop at this ramen shop. Other times he'd pull a prank. It became routine for a while. Eventually, however, I noticed something strange. There seemed to be less people glaring at Naruto. I thought that was part of my imagination as well. As time went on, it seemed undeniable. Then something even stranger happens. One day I thought I noticed someone else in Naruto's apartment. I had to know the truth. The next day after school I rushed to Naruto's apartment, determined to get there before he did. I knew about how long it took for him to arrive. He took his time, so it took about an hour. He could get there faster if he wanted, but he never seemed to be in a rush. Naruto kept his window open a lot, but it was on the third floor. I still hadn't learned to climb up walls yet. Maybe if I really tried I could make it, but I decided to just try his front door instead. It was unlocked. Naruto's apartment was rather plain and small. There was only one room. Even that room was smaller than mine. It felt so lonely. I hesitated to explore. Technically I was breaking and entering. Well, maybe not breaking. But I definitely wasn't supposed to be here. With a deep breath I found the courage to continue. I was here to find out the truth. Never mind that this was Naruto's apartment. His living room, his bathroom, his bed. My face was burning bright red as I made it to his room. I took tentative steps forward, and the first thing I did was sit on his bed. I don't think my face has ever burned brighter. I was on Naruto's bed. Thump! I nearly jumped out of my skin. A noise came from his closet, like something falling to the ground. I thought about just running away, but something made me push forward. I got up and slowly made my way to the closed closet door. I opened it and gasped. Oh my gods! 2 people were tied up with rope. They leaned back against the closet wall. They were bloody and bruises. The smell of blood was overwhelming. I don't know how I didn't smell it until now. One was a man. He had on an apron. I think I recognized him. Yes, he was the owner of a restaurant that Naruto passes by on his way home. The other person was a middle-aged woman. She wore this large pearl necklace. I recognized her too. She worked at the jewelry store. Another place Naruto passed by on his way home. I was mortified. They looked like death. When they saw me, their eyes widened. They were gagged, but they screamed at me nonetheless. I could see their panic, their plea for help. The woman tried to move, but her wrists were tied behind her back and a clanking noise resounded from behind her. A metal chain bound them to a lock on the floor. You're not supposed to be in here, came the very familiar voice of Naruto. I swiveled around and there he was. How did he get in here without my noticing? I didn't hear or see him. Naruto, what's going on? I could barely get the words out. I must have sounded pathetic. I was so scared. Naruto maintained his carefree posture, walking next to me to look down at his 2 captives. Punishment, Naruto stated bluntly. The way he said it was haunting. He still sounded like Naruto, sounded so chipper. But his eyes. They were still bright blue, but they held something sinister underneath. Naruto squatted down to their level. They cowered, backing further into the closet like cornered animals. Their muffled whimpers made me quiver. Silence, Naruto commanded. They went quiet. I didn't know who was more terrified, them or me. Naruto reached forward and patted the head of the woman. She flinched from his touch. He stood up and closed the closet door, turning to face me now. I backed away until I fell over on my butt atop his bed. Naruto followed and looked down on me. What are you going to do to me? This is so terrible, Naruto. I whimpered. Naruto bent down and put his hands near the side of my hips. He stared at me for a long while. I turned my head away. I'm going to eat your soul, Naruto whispered. I couldn't help the tears falling from my eyes. I'm just kidding. Geez, Hinata. You're so serious. Naruto suddenly blurted out while rising up and giving me space. He laughed. How could he be laughing? His laughter was so innocent. I didn't know what to think. Naruto? I questioned cautiously. He rubbed his nose in that familiar Naruto way, a big grin on his face. How could he be so light-hearted in this situation? Sorry, I just couldn't help it. I didn't scare you too much, did I? Naruto placed his hands behind his head and waited for me to answer. I'm glad he was patient. It took me a while to gather my thoughts. I looked over to the closed closet door before glancing at him. Naruto. I'm so confused. I admitted. Naruto turned around and sat next to me on the bed, plopping down casually. Yeah, that's my bad. I probably should have told you what I was doing. I figured this was as good a way as any to show you. I figured you'd find out eventually given you've been following me all this time. Naruto commented matter-of-factly. My eyes widened. You knew I was following you? Why didn't you say anything? He shrugged. Well, I kind of liked it. That and I couldn't really be upfront with you. After that night the Hokage started watching me more closely. He came to me and asked me a lot of questions and started a secret investigation. I told him I didn't remember what happened during the festival. I lied, but I know he didn't believe me. So the reason it may seem like I've been ignoring you is because I didn't want to act suspicious and draw any unnecessary attention. At least not yet. I still have to get stronger. Naruto explained. I was shocked. It took me a while to respond. While I gathered my thoughts, Naruto just stared at me. I couldn't maintain eye contact. I knew it wasn't just a dream. So you really killed all those people? Yep. I fidgeted. So I killed that man? I feared hearing the truth. Totally. In one hit too. I'm impressed. How could he be so casual about this? Naruto. He rubbed the back of his neck and sighed. Yeah, I know. This must be a lot for you to take in. Don't worry. I'm taking care of everything. Like I told you. I'll protect us, Naruto stated confidently while rising from his seat. I watched him warily. He walked over to the closet and knocked on the door. The two inside were whimpering again. Hey, I hate repeating myself. I said be quiet. Naruto barked out in annoyance. Their whimpers only grew. Naruto huffed. He took a kunai out from his leg strap and twirled it in his finger. He swung the closet door open and those two looked at me again. They were in a panic. Hinata-chan, wait at the park please. I'll be out in a minute, Naruto instructed. I hesitated for just a moment, but eventually I got up and nodded. Okay. I replied with my head bowed as I headed for the exit. They screamed in that muffled way once more. I said shut up. I heard Naruto yell as he brought his kunai down on them. I hurried away, leaving the apartment building and running as fast as I could. I ran until my heart felt like it would jump out of my chest. I was about halfway home when I stopped. My mind was spinning. My world went black. I woke up a while later. It was night time. Oh gods, how long was I out? Father was going to be so mad at me. I shakily rose to my feet. My knees were wobbly. At least I knew exactly where I was. I guess I passed out, and I was in a spot that was out of sight enough for no one to have noticed me. I was about to sprint home when I remembered what happened. Naruto. I stopped and stared at the path towards home and then another path. My body began to move on its own. I was heading towards the park. I knew exactly which one he was talking about. It wasn't too far from his house. I don't know why I was going towards it. I should be running far away as fast as I could, but something compelled me forward. I needed to see him again. The park was empty when I got there. The sun was almost down. I only spotted the silhouette of one lone figure. There he was. Naruto was swinging lightly along a swing. He had this happy, far-off look. Hello, Naruto. I managed to sputter out. Naruto finally turned his intense gaze towards. He closed his eyes and smiled brighter than I've ever seen. Hey, Hinata-chan. The way he spoke my name was it made me squirm. I was sweating, my heart beat 1,000 times a minute. I bowed my head and avoided his gaze. I just couldn't look him in the eye when he was staring at me like that. Naruto, I don't know what's going on. I'd been thinking that a lot lately. Naruto let out his patented Naruto chuckle. I wrapped my arms around myself. He made me feel silly. Come sit with me. Naruto beckoned. I hesitated for just a moment before following his command. I took a seat on the swing next to his. The chains squeaked as we swayed next to each other. Thanks for saving me that night. Naruto spoke up to break the silence. I poked my fingers together. It was a long-held nervous habit of mine. I couldn't let them keep hurting you. I admitted honestly. Naruto nodded. That's why I'm thanking you, silly. My blush had returned. I stole glances towards him, and every time I did he was staring back at me. It was almost too much. I felt like I was going to pass out. Oh, you're welcome. I want to thank you as well. You're welcome, Naruto said without hesitation. We both went silent again. Naruto, I began. Yes, Hinata-chan? The chains to my swing were rattling from how much I was shaking. Why are those people locked in your closet? I blurted the words out quickly and closed my eyes. I just had to get my thoughts out even if it was hard to speak. I told you. It's punishment. Punishment for what? I had to know. For showing me such little respect, he said in a haunting voice. I looked over and saw his eyes narrow. Everything about him was chilling. Yet still it was undeniable that this was still Naruto. My Naruto. I didn't know what to say. Naruto chuckled and shook his head. He finally tore his gaze away from me now to look up into the night sky. I'm tired of people hurting me, glaring at me, hating me for no reason. I have a secret that I didn't find out until that night. The Kyuubi, the fox demon that was defeated all those years ago. They didn't kill it. It was too strong, so they sealed it away inside of a baby whose chakra was strong enough to contain it. That baby was me. My eyes widened in shock. I just couldn't believe it. Naruto. He reached over and brushed a finger along my cheek. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. I'm fine. Despite everything, his words and his touch made me feel a lot better. I still had to know more. So that's what happened? The Kyuubi possessed you? Made you kill all those people? I asked in a hopeful manner. He didn't hesitate to crush my hopes. No. I did that all by myself. I just borrowed Kyuubi's power. But I killed those people. Those scum. Naruto spat out the word scum. I flinched at his ferocity. His expression softened. Sorry, I can get carried away sometimes, he said while looking away. It's okay. I don't know why I felt the need to comfort him, but it felt right. He smiled at me and reached over to grab my hand. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Thank you? I don't mean to talk that way and scare you. It's just I won't take it a second longer. Not anymore. If they want to hate me, then I'll give them a reason to hate me. No, to fear me. But you don't need to fear me, Hinata. Everyone else will, but not you. You're special. His words were monstrous. I could see that now. But somehow that didn't matter when he said something in particular. I'm special? He chuckled softly and nodded. Of course you are. You saved me. You stood up for me, you defended me from those bastards. I'll never hurt you. Even if you never talk to me again, I'll understand. My body moved on its own again. I jumped up from my swing and engulfed him in a hug. My arms wrapped around his neck. I actually ended up knocking him out of his swing. We both fell to the ground, but he held me close and broke our fall. I won't do that, Naruto-kun. I love you. I blurted out before gasping and covering my mouth. He smiled bright and looked up to me with a gentle expression. Hi's arms were wrapped securely around my waist as we laid together atop the grass. I was so embarrassed. I dropped my head low and hid my face in his chest. I love you too, Hinata-chan. I looked up to him with a feeling I couldn't recognize. We stared at each other for longer than we probably should have. He was the first to look away. Hinata-chan, would you like to know my dream? Naruto suddenly questioned. I just nodded. I couldn't speak. I don't know what kind of pathetic noise would leave my throat if I did. This world is so messed up and people can be so cruel. They only care about themselves. They will hurt anyone to make themselves feel better about their stupid lives. My dream is to rule this world and teach everyone a lesson. I was shaking, but I didn't pull away. What lesson is that, Naruto-kun? You reap what you sow. His voice was darker than I ever heard it. But as soon as he said it, his mood brightened. Or something like that. I know that's kind of a corny line, but still. You get the point, Naruto said with a childish giggle. Despite how horrible what he was saying was, I couldn't help laughing with him. I laughed harder than I can ever remember. Hinata-chan. Yes, Naruto-kun? When I conquer the world, I think I'll be like the first king of the world. Or emperor. Yeah, I like the sound of that better. I want you to be with me when I do. How does being an empress sound? My eyes widened. An empress? Yep. I poked my fingers together nervously. Don't you have to get married first? Naruto's grin widened. Yep. As soon as we are old enough, we will get married right away, Naruto declared. I felt like I was going to pass out. I think all the blood in my entire body had rushed to my face. Okay, Naruto-kun. Naruto pumped his fists in the air triumphantly. I marveled at him. I'd stick by his side no matter what. That night, father screamed at me for coming home so late. Somehow I couldn't bother to care. I sparred with Hanabi and studied like I was supposed to, all with a subtle smile glued to my face. Nothing could get me down. That night I snuck out of the house. I sped over to Naruto's apartment. When I got there the lights were off. I tried to be as quiet as I could, but honestly I didn't really need to. No one else but Naruto lived in the apartment building. That's how run down it was. His front door was unlocked as usual. Naruto was waiting for me in the bedroom. The first thing I did was look at the closet door. He chuckled and moved over to it, and opened the door. It was empty. See? You don't have to worry about them bothering us. What happened to them, Naruto? I let them go. I went wide-eyed. You did? He nodded happily. Yep. Now they will fear me. And they will make others fear me as well. Only the adults know my secret, and they aren't supposed to talk about it around the kids. They only talk about it among themselves in secret. So my plan is to teach everyone that glares at me a lesson until they show me the respect I deserve. An emperor must command respect. But I also showed them mercy. So eventually I'll command loyalty and devotion as well. I'm very confident they won't tell the authorities about me. Even if they do, I destroyed all evidence, so it'd be my word against theirs. They already hate me because I'm the demon child, so it would be easy to make everyone believe that they are lying about me just because they hate me. Naruto explained casually while letting out a yawn and hopping in the bed. I only had my pajamas on, along with a coat. I took off the coat and climbed into bed with Naruto. We both got under the covers and cuddled close together. You're so smart, Naruto-kun. Naruto shrugged. Kyuubi helped me figure most of this out, so give him credit too. Do you mean the Kyuubi? I couldn't help how scared my voice sounded. Naruto snicked. Yep. Though don't worry. He's a big softy. You'll meet him soon. Maybe when I'm not so tired. Naruto said with a big yawn. I nodded. Okay. Good night, Naruto-kun. Good night, Hinata-chan. I love you. It was still difficult to say those words. I couldn't help blushing every time I said them. Love you too. He blurted out without hesitation before closing his eyes and pulling me in even tighter. Despite all that had happened, all that I'd learned, how scary everything was, when I was in Naruto's arms I couldn't help but feel safe. I couldn't help feeling happy. I won't give this up for anything. Not even the world. The last 2 weeks have been the best 2 weeks of my entire life. Naruto and I were virtually inseparable. After school I followed him home. It turns out he only went home to put his things away and change clothes. He spent most of his time in an empty clearing in the forest a few miles away from his apartment. It was a quiet, secluded place surrounded and hidden by trees. Naruto was amazing. He could already run up trees and even walk on water. There was a stream nearby. I trained a bit, but nothing like the way Naruto trained. And I couldn't train as long as him because after a few hours I always had to head back home to spar with Hanabi. Sometimes I wouldn't train at all and I'd just watch him. He didn't mind. I kept sneaking out at night. I was surprised no one caught me, but I guess I'm better at stealth than I give myself credit for. We slept together every night, curled up tight. It was a dream come true. Until, Hinata-chan. I groggily opened my eyes to see Naruto sitting up in the bed. Yes, Naruto-kun? As I rubbed the sleep from my eyes I got a clearer image of Naruto. His posture was all wrong. He was staring forward with an intense expression. I sat up in alarm. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Naruto's gaze narrowed. He was staring forward at nothing. Hinata-chan, do you trust me? He asked suddenly. I began to fidget but didn't hesitate. Of course, Naruto-kun. He was scaring me. What was going on? Then please come with me. He held out his hand. I took it without a second thought. General POV. The area is clear, Hiashi-sama. A shinobi with the distinct eyes of a Hanabi spoke respectfully towards the clan leader, Hiashi Hyuga. Naruto's apartment building was surrounded by Hyuga shinobi. Hiashi stood atop a nearby building. He had his hands tucked in the sleeves of his robe. Hiashi took a hand out of his sleeve and waved it. When seeing that gesture, the battalion of Hyuga shinobi sprung forward. Naruto's bedroom window was open and so was his front door. Shinobi dashed through the window one after the other. They sprinted towards the bed and removed the sheets to reveal both Naruto and Hinata sleeping soundly. Hinata's mouth was covered as her body was pulled from the bed. She opened her eyes and released a muffled scream as a hail of shuriken rained down on the sleeping form of Naruto. They struck clean. Hiashi appeared in the blink of an eye to send a powerful palm strike straight at Naruto's heart. Hinata wouldn't stop screaming, at least until the form of Naruto erupted into a cloud of smoke. Hayashi's eyes widened in shock. A clone? But how did we not notice? The man thought to himself in alarm. The sound of muffled laughter drew everyone's attention. Hinata was giggling uncontrollably. Release her! Hiashi barked. When her mouth was uncovered, Hinata's childish laughter continued to fill the room. So much for the almighty Byakugan. Hinata teased before erupting in a cloud of smoke. Naruto appeared from the smoke, the boy sticking his tongue out at Hiashi and giving the man the stink eye. The boy was soon riddled with shurikens and pinned to the wall behind him. Hiashi closed the gap in less than a second. What have you done with my daughter, demon? The man barked. Naruto maintained a cocky grin. You might as well be blind. Here, let me make it easy for you, Naruto said while turning his head to the side to look towards the window. Hiashi focused his Byakugan on the direction Naruto was looking. Miles away in that familiar clearing, Hiashi spotted another Naruto. This one was different. The boy's eyes were a dark, pharaoh red. And he had Hinata captive, holding a kunai to her throat. Let's talk alone, the Naruto pinned to the wall stated before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Hiashi gritted his teeth in frustration. Orders, sir? One shinobi called out to Hiashi. Hiashi stared forward in silent, stoic contemplation. Hinata, when Naruto asked me to trust him, I didn't know what to expect. I couldn't have guessed in a million years that this is what he meant. Naruto kept saying that I'd meet Kyuubi soon. I tried not to press the issue for fear of becoming too annoying. I trusted that when it was time Naruto would introduce me. I wished he found a better way. Naruto, I trust you. I love you. But still he scares me. You actually came alone? How amusing. I gave it a 50-50th chance you'd try something stupid. Naruto's voice was different. It sounded kind of like Naruto, but then there was a second, darker voice that spoke at the same time. It made me shiver. I watched my father walk into the clearing from the brush. He was as stoic as always. Release my daughter, demon. Father showed no fear and spoke in the same commanding tone he always did. If I say no, the kunai he had against my neck pressed closer. He drew blood. I couldn't help quivering. Naruto, I whispered. Father glanced at me only briefly. What do you want? Now we are getting somewhere. The pressure against my neck softened. Somehow I still didn't feel better. Well, father was always very blunt. Naruto, or well, Kyuubi, didn't respond right away. He removed the kunai from my neck and crossed his arms. He stood completely differently from how Naruto usually stands. Naruto was always relaxed, carefree. Kyuubi seemed larger than life. He stood like I'd imagine a hardened warrior would stand tall, imposing, unmoving. They were so different. The future. More specifically, the terms of your surrender and sworn allegiance to us. Kyuubi elaborated. Father narrowed his eyes. Is this some sick joke? Kyuubi didn't respond. At least, he didn't speak. But his face said it all. Just moments ago Kyuubi seemed amused. He had this creepy smirk. But now it was completely gone. His fiery red eyes bore down on father. He looked ready to kill. I stood between the two, unsure of what to do. He let me go, but I didn't feel free. I didn't move. I wouldn't until Kyuubi gave me permission. Father broke the silence. Why would I ever consider surrendering to you? Were you capable of destroying us, we would not be having this conversation. You're stalling. For what I don't know, but it's clear you have lost much of your power. In fact, tonight you will die at my hand. Father dropped into a fighting stance and disappeared. I was suddenly lifted off my feet. I couldn't help the surprised squeak that erupted from my throat. Another shinobi had picked me up and was carrying me through the air. I reached out towards Naruto in the same way I did on that night months ago. This time I was powerless to stop my capturer from tearing us apart. This was another Hyuga, a trained shinobi. What could I do? A huge burst of chakra erupted from Naruto's back as father appeared directly in front of him. Naruto, oh god. I knew what that meant. I'd done it to a man and that man died instantly. And I was only 9 years old. A blow from my father was something else altogether. Tears poured from my eyes. The shinobi carrying me landed on a tree branch far away to observe. I could barely see what had happened. I feared the worst. Hiashi POV. That blow struck clean. It was only a matter of time before the monster would fall limp at my feet. After all these years of enduring its evil, watching it just walk around, it was finally dead. The council agonized over how to handle the demon child. I sat back in frustration as they gathered night after night without a conclusive decision. It took them so long to decide. I had to let Hinata spend 2 weeks in this demon's bed. 2 weeks. After this night I'll make things right. I'll make sure she is monitored for any sign of corruption. We will move on from this nightmare. The demon's head was hung low. It didn't move. I finally noticed just how long it stayed standing. This isn't right. I struck again at its heart, then again, and again. It wasn't moving, wasn't responding. For some reason his chakra was not dwindling. The chakra of a recently dead body lingered, but I should have immediately noticed the drastic reduction. What the hell? The demon lifted its head and stared at me with those putrid eyes. It kept its arms crossed. Are you finished? For the first time in years I felt fear. Real fear. This fear was different. I always feared for my children and the life they would eventually lead. That never went away. But this was something I hadn't felt since that day over 10 years ago. When Kyubi ravaged our village. No, I spoke through gritted teeth. It can't be. I dropped low to form the 8 trigram stance. I assaulted him again, and again, and again. He just stood there. Why won't you die? I didn't expect the head of the Hyuga clan to be such a fool. Your pathetic attacks didn't work on me 10 years ago. Why would they now? I stopped in my tracks, only getting to 183 strikes. Maybe I should rethink my offer if this level of stupidity is what I can expect from your clan. I jumped back. As I did, my clan joined me, filling the trees around the clearing. A hail of shuriken and kunai rained down on the demon. They bounced harmlessly off of a red aura surrounding the demon child. It released an annoyed sigh. Okay then. Let me remind you of who I am. Then he disappeared from my sight. My sight. The eyes of a Hyuga. All around me I heard screams. My people were being slaughtered, clawed in half, torn apart. The demon moved like a blur. Blood rained down from the treetops. All I could do was watch helplessly. Stop this! I shouted desperately. Then it appeared in front of me, its clawed fingers dripping with blood. It licked its own hand. Its chakra was different now. It hurt my eyes to even look at it. Red chakra radiated from it. It was like staring directly into the sun. Where did all this power come from? I was immediately reminded of that hellish fight 10 years ago. The reality of the situation didn't really sink in until now. We are doomed. Oh? Do I have your attention now? Dozens of my clan had died in only a few seconds of the demon's assault. Yes, let's talk. Much better. Its voice oozed out. I waved a hand, signaling the rest to fall back. They did as instructed. The demon grew a sick grin. Hinata, Kyubi was a monster. He killed so many people. Even my father could do nothing to stop him. After a while I had to look away. The scene was grotesque. Then I fell. The shinobi who was carrying me suddenly dropped me. When I looked up I saw that she was missing her head. I managed to land on my feet, but the dead body landed right next to me. It took all the willpower I had not to scream at the top of my lungs. I covered my mouth with both hands and backed up into a tree. There was blood everywhere, just like that night. I was frozen, my knees were shaking. I couldn't move. I wanted to run, to get away, but my body wouldn't let me. I slid down the tree and sat on my butt, hugging my chest to my knees. No one can stop him. Wait, why am I smiling? Why does that thought excite me? I hugged my arms around myself. Somehow, despite all the carnage, I felt safe. I managed to shackly rise to my feet. My father was talking to Kyubi. I couldn't hear what they were saying. They were too far away. I took a step forward, but as soon as I did I found myself being picked up again by yet another shinobi. I struggled this time. Stop squirming. We have to get as far away as possible. The shinobi's panicked voice sputtered out. No, let me go. I have to stay. I insisted. Are you crazy? I shook my head and sent a palm strike to the shinobi's chest. The shinobi dropped me and grabbed his chest. He didn't die like the first man I attacked. This was another Hyuga after all. We fell to the ground and rolled a bit. The shinobi struggled to rise to his feet. What the hell is wrong with you? Do you want to be killed? He barked. I rose as well, looking at him with a confidence I don't remember ever having. You should run away or else you might die too, I said while turning my back to him and walking towards Naruto and my father. The man walked up and grabbed my wrist with one hand. He was still holding his chest with his other hand. I know you've been through a lot, but you have to snap out of it. You're going to die if you go back there. I smiled again. He didn't know my Naruto. I'm his wife. He won't like it if he finds out you touched me. Sure, Naruto and I weren't married yet, but that got his attention. He released me immediately and took a step back. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. I turned my back to the man and moved towards my love. The shinobi didn't follow. My heart was beating rapidly. What did I just say? Where did that come from? I don't know, but it felt right. I felt untouchable. It took me a few minutes to get back to the clearing. By the time I did, I spotted father and Naruto again. I pushed my way through one lash bush to make my presence known. Speak of the devil. Kyubi was still in control of Naruto's body. Father looked back at me with an expression I'd never seen in him. Worry. He turned his back to Naruto and walked my way until he was hovering over me. His eyes weren't as overbearing as they usually were. I couldn't read him. He stared at me for a long while before looking past me. Don't be late for school tomorrow. And I expect you home on time for your sparring session. Father ordered. I was shocked. I looked over to Naruto, well still Kyuubi. He grinned and nodded at me. I then looked back up to my father. Why yes, father. I stated in a dumbfounded manner. He nodded and walked past me. I watched him disappear into the bush before turning my attention back to Naruto. I can tell by Naruto's blue eyes that he was back. He began to walk towards me. I sprinted towards him and jumped into his arms. He squeezed his arms around my waist and held me tight. I buried my face in his neck. Naruto, it's you, right? I whispered hopefully. The one and only. He replied back in that familiar happy voice. It really was him. I pulled back and bowed my head. I was scared there for a little while. I thought the Kyuubi really took over completely. Naruto rubbed the back of his head with a guilty expression. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't really have time to explain everything because your father and his shinobi were already on the way. I just let Kyuubi borrow my body, but he can't actually take over. He just needed to be in control temporarily so everything would go as smoothly as possible. Naruto explained. I listened intently. I understand, Naruto-kun. I told you, I trust you completely. At first I was a little scared, but then I realized that you'd never hurt me. You'd never let anyone hurt me. Naruto looked at me intensely. I could see the determination in his eyes. The confidence, the optimism. I miss this. Believe it. I kissed him. I don't know what took over me. Hearing him speak like that, I just had to. I rose up on my tippy toes and pressed gently against him. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. His blush was as bright as mine. I don't think either of us were good at kissing. We just kind of mushed our lips together. Hopefully we'd get better with time. I pulled back first. I was panting. I couldn't even look him in the eyes anymore. Wow, that was nice. Naruto stated in a dumbfounded way. I couldn't help giggling. He pulled me closer and stared down at me. I finally looked up and gazed up at him in awe. We have a lot to talk about. A lot of plans are being set in motion. I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Right now we have to help hide all the evidence of what happened tonight. Your father will take care of the dead bodies here, but I have to go back to the apartment and clean up. Okay, Naruto-kun. What do you want me to do? Naruto grinned brightly. Nothing. Just go back to your house and get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow after school I'll be ready to tell you everything. From now on no one will stop us from being together. I held my hands to my chest and nodded obediently. Okay, Naruto-kun. I hope to see you soon. I was a bit upset that I wouldn't be able to be with him tonight. Naruto picked that up and gave me an Eskimo kiss. Do you think anything would stop me from seeing the only person I love in this world? I nearly fainted. I just shook my head with a love-struck expression. He let out an amused chuckle. Good night, Hinata-chan. I gave him one last squeeze and pulled away. Good night, Naruto-kun. I love you too. He grinned bright before suddenly disappearing from my sight in a whirl of leaves. I turned around and began to walk calmly through the forest back towards the city. There was still blood and dead bodies everywhere. Dismembered limbs hung from the tree branches. There were shinobi dashing through the trees cleaning up the mess. It was grotesque. Despite that I wore a contented smile. I was the luckiest girl in the world. Naruto was absent from school today. I knew why. Last night was very eventful. He'd probably still be working on covering up the evidence and cleaning up the mess. Still, not having him in class made me feel lonelier than I can ever remember. Even just one day away completely soured my mood. A few people noticed, but they didn't say anything. I'm glad they didn't. I would have been too distracted to talk much anyway. When class was over, I sprinted to Naruto's apartment as fast as I could. I got there really fast. I guess all that training was paying off at least a little bit. I opened the door to Naruto's empty apartment. I never knocked. I did in the beginning, but Naruto insisted that the apartment was as much my home as it was his. I swooned when he said it. But without Naruto, the apartment didn't feel like home. It was just a place. Where was he? To my surprise, the holes in the walls and floors from all the shuriken and kunai were gone. Well, not completely. But they were filled in. An observant eye would be able to spot them, but Naruto could explain the visible damage by saying he was practicing with kunai and fixed the damage he made. At least that's the answer I'd give. I left the apartment soon after I arrived. If he wasn't here, then he must be at the clearing. When I got to the bottom of the stairs, I heard a door open behind me. I was curious. I didn't think anyone lived in the entire building but Naruto. When I turned around, my heart fluttered like it usually did when laying eyes on my love. There he was. Hey Hinata-chan. I thought that was you. School out already? Naruto asked in a casual manner. He was poking his head out of the doorway. I sprinted his way and engulfed him in a hug, jumping into his arms. He had no problem catching me as he closed the door behind us. I miss you, Naruto-kun. I sounded more needy than I wanted. He didn't seem to mind. He gave me that big beautiful smile of his. I was only absent for 1 day, he said with a playful chuckle. I laid my head along his shoulder. Too long. We stayed that way for a few moments before I finally noticed just how dark it was around us. Behind Naruto was a stairwell leading down to a poorly lit room. Oh yeah. This door leads to the basement of the apartment building. It's actually pretty big. I'm still taking care of some business, Naruto explained. I nodded in understanding. Okay, Naruto-kun. Should I wait upstairs? He shook his head. Nah. I'd much rather you be with me. You smell really nice today. My face burned bright as he took my hand and led me down the stairs. Thank you, Naruto-kun. After last night I wanted to do something special for you. I'm trying a new shampoo. I wanted to know what you thought. Naruto leaned over and placed a kiss on my cheek as we neared the bottom of the stairs. Makes me want to eat you all up. Somehow I managed not to pass out despite all the blood in my body rushing to my face. I clung to his arm and leaned my head against his shoulder. He was so romantic. A foul smell snapped me out of my fantasies. The bottom of the basement had a lot of empty space. It smelled old and musty. On the far side of the room there was another door. Naruto led us right to it. Sorry about the smell. This place hasn't been cleaned in a while and I haven't gotten around to it. I'll have one of my clones take care of it tonight, Naruto stated nonchalantly. I nodded as Naruto got to the door. He took out a ring full of keys from a pouch along his leg and unlocked it. I'd never seen him with those keys before. The sight on the other side of the door gave me pause. It was a large room. Maybe it was a storage closet. It was a bit larger than any storage closet I'd seen, but I couldn't think of another use for it. But more importantly were the 3 women who were chained to the far wall, their wrists bound above their head. Naruto flicked a switch to turn on the ceiling light, startling the women. They looked up and immediately let out muffled whimpers. Naruto released my hand and approached them. Naruto maintained a casual stride, his arms placed lazily behind his head. He watched them for a little while. You must be thirsty. Hinata-chan, can you bring me that bucket? Naruto questioned while pointing to a table right next to me. I tried to avoid their gaze. The 3 women were looking at me with clear panic in their eyes, the same as the other 2 Naruto had kidnapped before. I bowed my head and silently moved over to the table. The table was riddled with various knives, kunai, screwdrivers, hammers, and some other objects I couldn't name. The bucket was resting on the center of the table. It was half filled with water. It didn't look very clean. I picked it up by the handle and carried it over to Naruto just like he asked. Thanks, babe, Naruto said casually while taking the bucket from me and giving me a kiss on the cheek. Despite the terrible situation, I still couldn't help blushing. The women kept their eyes on me. I refused to look at them. Naruto squatted down in front of the one in the center. She was a middle-aged woman with bright blonde and gray hair. You first, Naruto said while removing the gag from her mouth. Please let me go. I'm sorry I glared at you. I'll never do it again. Just please, Naruto gagged her again. Such a shame. You wasted your chance to drink with useless words. When I want you to speak, I'll tell you to speak. We'll see how you do in another 8 hours, Naruto stated heartlessly. What made me shiver was Naruto's tone. He was still so chipper, so upbeat. He moved to the women to the right. She had a striking resemblance to the first women. They could have been sisters. Your turn, Naruto said while engaging the other blonde-haired women. This one wasted no time in drinking desperately from the pail that Naruto held to her lips. He let her drink her fill until she pulled back. Please, she began. Naruto gagged her before she could continue. He moved to the last woman. That woman had pitch black hair. I noticed that she wore a marriage ring. Naruto didn't speak to her this time as he undid her gag. She drank her fill and stayed silent when she pulled back. She was notably more calm than the other 2. Naruto patted her on the head. Smart girl. I'll only give you half time, Naruto said while securing her gag. Naruto stood up and handed the bucket to me. I wordlessly returned it to the table. When I turned around, I saw a dark ball of blue fire forming in Naruto's palm. The women began to release muffled cries of protest. Tears were streaming down their eyes. I didn't know what Naruto was going to do, but I had a pretty good idea. The ball of fire split into 3 separate, smaller balls. One was distinctively smaller than the other 2. Then the flames shot out towards the girls and set their entire bodies ablaze in blue flame. Their muffled screams were sickening. Naruto clapped his hands together, as if finishing a long day's work. He turned his back to their suffering and reached a hand out towards me. I hurried to his side, leaving the women to burn. Naruto closed the door behind us as we exited. I couldn't help looking back. The last thing I saw was the black-haired woman's eyes baring down on me as if to say, how could you allow this? The trip to the clearing was especially quiet today. I kept my head down, lost in my own thoughts. That really bothered you, huh? Naruto questioned while glancing over to me. I turned my head away. Is all that really necessary, Naruto-kun? I was hesitant to ask. Naruto shrugged carelessly. Necessary? No, not really. I do it because I like it. And because they deserve it. I began to poke my fingers together. Naruto's gaze lingered on me, but I didn't question him further. He released a soft sigh. I know that may not be the answer you want to hear, but I can't say it any other way without lying. And I will never lie to you. Naruto's voice was gentle. I stole glances up to him. I understand, Naruto-kun. He nodded as we finally arrived at our clearing. There were a few signs of the battle that went on last night. Well, it was less of a battle and more of a slaughter. But there was no blood and no bodies. Just broken branches and dented trees. Naruto walked out in front of me and looked up into the sky. He closed his eyes and let the warm rays wash over his face. I watched him silently. Admittedly, I was still a bit nervous. I didn't want to be. I wanted to support Naruto no matter what, but then I thought back to that woman's eyes. Those judgmental eyes. I wrapped my arms around myself in a vulnerable manner. It's time I let you in, Hinata. Then you can make your final decision. Naruto spoke up, snapping me out of my dark thoughts. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Naruto walked in front of me and raised a single finger directly between my eyes. Do you trust me? I hate that I hesitated this time. Why, yes, Naruto-kun. I could see the sadness in his eyes. It broke my heart. I wish I could reverse time for just a second so I could answer him more confidently. Naruto placed his finger against my forehead, and my world immediately went black. I blinked my eyes open to stare into what looked like a sewer. Pipes ran along the walls. The floor was covered in water, but my feet didn't feel wet. A squeeze to my hand drew my attention. Naruto was standing at my side. Before I tell you everything, you should finally meet him, Naruto said while turning us around. My head craned back as I looked at a huge steel cage. I couldn't even see the top. Behind the bars, 2 large, feral eyes looked down at me. I nearly jumped out of my skin and clung closely to Naruto. He wrapped his arms around my waist and hugged me tight. He still made me feel safe. I was extremely happy to realize that. The large creature moved forward until its entire figure was revealed. The gigantic red fox must have been over 50 feet tall. He had this sinister grin along his muzzle. It's so nice to finally meet you, little one. Its voice was deep and booming. If possible, I clung even closer to Naruto. Okay, she gets it. You're big and bad. Cut the act for ball. Naruto spoke up while pointing an accusatory finger at Kyubi. Kyubi released an annoyed growl. I told you to stop calling me that, boy. Naruto waved a hand dismissively. Yeah, the fox grumbled before suddenly shrinking dramatically in size. Naruto moved forward with me remaining close at his side. We walked to the edge of the cage and watched as Kyubi shrunk down to the size of an actual fox. He was tiny now. Better? Thanks. Naruto called out in a pleased tone while taking a step into the cage. I hesitated. Naruto looked back at me with a gentle smile. Remember what I said before? I looked away and began to fidget. I took a deep breath before looking up to Naruto with renewed faith. You'll always protect us. His grin brightened. Believe it. I stepped through the cage without hesitation now. As long as Naruto was by my side, I could endure anything. Kyubi kept his eyes on me as we moved in. Him being so small did a lot to calm my nerves. We should have proper introductions, Kyubi suggested. I went wide-eyed before bowing over at the waist. It's nice to meet you, Kyubi-sama, I blurted out to show as much respect as I could. To my surprise, Kyubi bowed his head and closed his eyes. The pleasure is all mine. I was quite surprised by his politeness. I lifted my head as Naruto walked up to Kyubi. Kyubi met Naruto halfway before jumping in Naruto's arms. Naruto cradled the fox like a pet. Kyubi maintained a stoic expression. Kind of like a cat. See, Kyubi-sensei is harmless. Naruto blurted out. Sensei? Oh, I guess that makes sense. I'm more of a mentor, but I suppose that term is an accurate enough characterization of our relationship. It was strange seeing Kyuubi speak while Naruto held him. It was especially strange how Kyuubi kept its stoic expression while speaking. He didn't purr or rub against Naruto or anything like that. If anything, Naruto acted more like a pet. Well, now that you've met Kyuubi, I think it's time I told you about our plans. It was mostly my idea, but Kyuubi helped me figure out most of the details of how things will actually work. Naruto explained. Kyuubi jumped out of Naruto's arms and began to walk further into the cage. I'll leave you to it then. The fox called out. My eyes lingered on Kyuubi until it disappeared into the darkness. I then turned my attention to Naruto. He was staring at me intensely. It made me shiver. Come here. Naruto beckoned. I stepped forward thoughtlessly and fell into his arms. There was something about the way he spoke that compelled my compliance. He stole a kiss from my lips. My body responded like it normally did. I rose up on my tippy toes and arched my back. A swooning sigh escaped my lips. He pulled away slightly in order to gaze off to the side into the darkness. I followed his gaze. Within the water along the ground, images began to form. Naruto's expression hardened. I picked up on his mood shift right away. This world is disgusting. There is a reason that I had the terrible childhood that I did, that I was treated so badly. It's because people are shit. Naruto began. As Naruto spoke, a sea of images played out, like moving art which illustrated various acts of people and civilizations. The art was like caveman drawings. They are selfish, petty, greedy, murderous, warlike. All they care about is themselves and their families. People rape each other, steal from each other, torture each other, lie to each other constantly. 1,000 people will step over just one in need because it's too inconvenient to help. Naruto ranted. He was seething. I just listened. I had to fully understand Naruto's perspective even if it was dark. But there is hope. That admission drew my attention. You really think so, Naruto-kun? Naruto nodded with a gentle smile. I do. I've also seen the good in people. Iruka-sensei is a perfect example of that. He supports me and is kind to me despite knowing that I am the demon child. He didn't let the hate of the villagers taint his morals. Even despite being a chunin, he has never taken a life. He's always found a peaceful path forward and shunned tainting his hands with blood as so many others have done. It was clear to me how much admiration Naruto had for Iruka. Naruto's eyes narrowed. People like him deserve better. People like the boy I used to be, the girl you used to be, deserve better. I want to make a world where everyone is like Iruka. The world I envision will be a good world where lives like mine, and even lives of neglect like yours are made impossible. A world filled with only good people, kind people. I want to make a world where if one person falls, everyone reaches out a hand to help them. I marveled at Naruto. That's so beautiful, Naruto. He didn't look at me. He grew a sad smile. It will be, but first, in order to make that dream come true, I have to break this world. Naruto hissed. My attention shifted down to the water again. I watched images of a lone figure passing judgment over a crowd of people. The world I envision can exist as long as there are people with black hearts. That's where Kyuubi comes in. I was a bit lost after that. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Kyuubi reappeared in the distance, still in its small fox form. It just sat in the darkness staring at us. In order to gain the power to rule this world, I made a pact with Kyuubi. He will teach me, help me grow stronger. For as long as I live, I will be able to draw from his power and knowledge. In exchange, those I deem unworthy of life, those who break my laws and those who I decide kill along the path, Kyuubi will have first claim on them. Kyuubi will devour them. My eyes widened in shock. Devour them? Kyuubi grew a twisted grin along his muzzle. When a human commits a sinful act, it changes their heart. Makes them less pure. When a person lies, cheats, steals, kills, rapes, those actions taint their heart. Not every action is equally tainting. The worse the sin, the blacker their hearts and the more delicious they are to Kyuubi. I was mortified. Naruto seemed nonchalant about those details. Even a seemingly justified action like killing or maiming someone who is a direct threat to someone you love is tainting. An action like that destroys a person's innocence no matter how justified. Naruto's eyes settled on me now. Oh gods. I covered my mouth in horror. Is that what Naruto thought of me? I had a black heart? Naruto chuckled. It's okay, Hinata. In a world as messed up as this, it's nearly impossible to maintain a pure heart. Especially when it comes to defending someone you love. That's what I want to change. When I conquer the world and create my empire, one by one I will kill those who represent the worst aspects of human nature. Even a crime as petty as lying or cheating will be punishable by death. I'll give this tainted society the punishment it deserves. And hopefully by the time you and I die we will be the last people with black hearts. Our deaths will usher in a new era of peace and love that our children can thrive in. My mind was racing as I listened, but all that death. How can you be sure that your efforts won't be in vain after you die? If you do this, if you kill so many people and then the world just becomes the same after you die, then what would have been the point? If I made a good enough point, maybe I could change Naruto's mind. He grinned at me. That's also where my pact with Kyuubi comes in. As Kyuubi consumes people and absorbs their chakra, his power will grow. Eventually he will become so powerful that no one will ever be able to challenge him again. When I die he'll even absorb my chakra. He will use his eternal life to be the ever-vigilant judge, jury and executioner that watches over the society I create. He will keep people in check and hunt down those with black hearts until all that remains are the good, innocent, loving, self-sacrificing people like Iraka-sensei. No one will ever need to kill again. There will be no war, there will be no rape or slavery, none of it. That is our pact. Kyuubi will forever shepherd the innocent world, and I will be its harbinger. I fell on my butt now. It was all too much to take in. Naruto stepped closer and stood above me, his intense gaze bearing down on me. As emperor I will bring this world to its knees. I will find pleasure in punishing the people of this vile civilization for the pile of shit they created and continue to perpetuate. I will make them all pay. Hokage, who was too much of a coward to challenge the ignorance of his own people, he stood by and let them hate me, allowing me to live alone and malnourished in the worst part of the village. Danzo, who played a key role in Kyuubi being sealed in me in the first place. All the other shinobi who stood idly by and did nothing to defend me but break their back to defend every other shitty person in this damnable village. The civilians of this village who stepped over me when I needed help and tormented me for crimes I did not commit. They will all feel my wrath. I was trembling uncontrollably. Naruto no longer held his nonchalant demeanor. He looked like a demon. You will be one of the few who are immune to my ire and Kyuubi's hunger. Right now I'm giving you the chance to return to your family and get as far away from me as possible. I told you that I would never hurt you and I meant it. You are special. But I won't stop and I won't feel guilty about teaching this world the lesson it deserves. Naruto ended his sentence by turning away and staring down at the water. The image of a lone figure occupying a throne with a crowd of people bowing below him formed in the ripples. I stayed silent for a long while. My mind was going a mile a minute. I could barely think. I had to calm down. I closed my eyes and held my hands to my chest and began to breathe deeply while exhaling through my nose. Mother taught me this calming technique before she passed. I stopped focusing on my thoughts and instead focused on what I felt. What I truly felt. I reflected on the events of the last few months. The way I killed that man in defense of my love, how I felt when Naruto first used his power to kill those who attacked us. The words I spoke to the shinobi who attempted to stop me from returning to Naruto. Even how I felt when watching Naruto torture those people. It was horrifying, but beneath that there was a feeling I didn't recognize. It was obvious now. Through all of it, the good, the bad, the terrible, one feeling stood out. A particular set of words Naruto kept repeating. I was special. Naruto was sharing his life with me, trusting me. He showed me all his vulnerabilities, his strengths, his dreams, his fears. He shared with me his pain, his best and worst sides. Only me. I didn't even think Kyuubi held the bond that Naruto and I had. No, no one did. Just me. He picked me. I rose up to my feet and stepped calmly towards Naruto. He turned to face me, a wary gaze on his face. I could see the fear in his eyes. He feared that I would reject him. At this moment, I may have been the only person in the world who could truly hurt him without fear of feeling his wrath. Others who glared at him would find themselves at his mercy. Those that attacked him would feel his claws, his teeth, his fire. But not me. Only I could hurt him and only I could accept him in that special way. Unconditionally, unfalteringly. Only I could have his heart. You can't get rid of me, Naruto-kun. I'm here to stay. I spoke in a breathless voice while trailing my fingers through the hair on the side of his head and gently caressing his scalp. I saw something in Naruto that I don't recall ever seeing. Doubt. Why? After everything I've shown you, after everything I've done, you still want to be with me? I'm not going to change, Hinata-chan, and I'm not going to stop. Making these people suffer for the things they've done makes me happy. And I only plan to do it more and more. How can you still stay with me when you so obviously disapprove of what I do, of what I will do? I smiled gently and rose up on my tippy toes to steal a kiss. We lingered on that tender exchange for several sweet moments. I pulled back with a contented and resolute expression. It's because I love you, Naruto-kun. Admittedly, the way you go about things aren't ideal, but despite all that I still see the beauty in your dream. That's enough for me. All I ask is that you let me be a part of that dream, always by your side. I will always love you, Naruto-kun, no matter what. Believe it, Naruto did something I couldn't have predicted. He started to cry. He reached an arm up to wipe his tears. He tried to look away, but I wouldn't let him. I rose back up to re-engage our loving kiss. I couldn't help tears falling down my cheeks as well. I love you, Hinata-chan. Or should I say Empress Hinata? Naruto spoke sweetly to me. My smile brightened. I love you too, Naruto-kun. Or should I say, Emperor Naruto-kun? Naruto let out a jovial giggle. Probably more at the fact that I still put kun at the end of his name, even when calling him Emperor. It was an improper way to speak, but to me he would always be Naruto-kun. I like the sound of that. The image in the water, which previously showed one lone figure on a throne, now shifted to show two figures sitting next to each other on their respective thrones. A man and woman forever united, forever at each other's side. Before we could kiss again, our bodies were suddenly engulfed by two giant furry foxtails. Okay, you two, if you are going to be like that, you can do so outside my home. Kyubi's annoyed voice grumbled as he picked us up and set us on our feet outside the cage. He was in his giant fox form now. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. I clung to him. My world went black again. We were back in the clearing. Naruto's finger was still pressed against my forehead. Without missing a beat, I sprang forward and engulfed him in a hug. He fell back into the grass and wrapped his arms around my waist securely. Naruto released a dominant growl and rolled us over so he was on top and I was the one on my back. I let out a squeal as he bent down to engage me. We didn't train that night. He didn't complain. Naruto let two of the women go a week later. Turns out the woman who was married had a darker heart than the others. She was cheating on her husband. Kyubi devoured her. I choose not to watch, but Naruto was honest about what happened. I didn't want to imagine what devouring looked like. Within a few weeks, Naruto had 4 more captives. He was developing a routine. Every once in a while when I walked through the village with Naruto, I'd recognize one of the victims living out their daily lives. They had no outward signs of the horrors Naruto put them through. No scars, no permanent physical damage. Naruto's blue fire was special in that it didn't leave a lasting mark. It just made them feel like they were being burned alive. That was another way to hide the evidence of what he had done. He's so smart. I definitely noticed changes in how the general population regarded Naruto. I saw less and less hatred among the people. Those once heated glares were replaced by timid, fearful, respectful glances. Naruto was very pleased. I started to notice something else as well. The people that Naruto victimized gave me similar glances. I was often seen assisting Naruto during his sessions. I felt guilty for the longest time, but slowly my guilt began to fade. Naruto never took someone who didn't deserve it. Now that I knew Naruto's motivations, it was getting easier to help him, to stay by his side, to support him no matter what. I didn't say it out loud, but after a while I began to enjoy the respect they gave me. Naruto's delight was contagious. As long as it was towards people that deserved it, then what we were doing wasn't so bad. Right, I knew one thing for sure. Naruto was happy. Genuinely happy. The sadness that he hid behind his dope mask was slowly but surely fading away. I could see every day how my love, loyalty, and unflinching devotion positively affected him. I won't give this up for anything, for anyone. I'll do anything to make him happy, for I am his empress. Empress Hinata, wife of the great Emperor Naruto-kun. That sounds nice. Actually, I should say my full future name. Empress Hinata Uzumaki. Much better. Wow, really? You're 1 year older than us, and you still can't make a basic hench. Kiba barked out annoyingly. Most of the class burst into laughter. Naruto was standing in front of the classroom, having shifted into a misshapen version of the Hokage. Irika, who was observing from the side, shook his head and began to scribble some notes down on his clipboard. Naruto was engulfed in smoke, transforming back to his regular self. He had the cutest pout on his lips as he dramatically pointed at the class. Just you wait. Someday I'm going to surpass even Sasuke and be the greatest Hokage, Naruto proclaimed. The class laughed even louder. Get real, Naruto. You'll never surpass Sasuke-kun. Not in a million years. Sakura screeched. Naruto huffed and returned to his seat with his arms crossed. I tried to ignore the murmurs as Irika called someone else to the front. Like always, Naruto kept pretending to be the dope of the class. He did it in order to avoid drawing unnecessary suspicion to himself. Still, the way most everyone picked on him always angered me. But I wasn't supposed to be too nice to Naruto during class. Naruto, well, more Kyuubi, said it would be best, though it was getting harder and harder to endure the constant disrespect of my love. I believe in you, Naruto-kun. I whispered to Naruto. We sat in different rows to not draw suspicion. I was in the row behind him. Oh my God, Hinata. How can you keep supporting that loser? Sakura spat out. I gritted my teeth. That's it. I'll make her pay. It took me a few days to get my chance. I didn't want to be too overt with my actions, so I waited until Irika-sensei called for a sparring session. Everyone paired up. Sakura usually paired up with Ino, but I had different plans. Sakura-chan, would you like to spar? I asked in my sweetest voice. I could tell that her eyes were heatedly on Ino. They'd developed a rivalry to fight for Sasuke's attention. Sakura quirked a brow and shifted her gaze to me. Sure. I need practice beating up someone other than Ino Pig. Ino glared daggers from off to the side. I ignored her and nodded while dropping into a fighting stance. Sakura cracked her knuckles. It took all my willpower to hide my contempt for her. That arrogant, annoying, disrespectful ugh. Here I come, Hinata. She charged me and I pretended to struggle to block her attacks. Kyuubi-sama told us that I should hide my power as well at school. I could do well academically, but in terms of strength I had to show restraint. Be honest, you like Naruto, don't you? Sasuke said while landing a punch against my stomach. I pretended to recoil. What do you mean? Sakura scoffed. Oh, come on. Everyone sees the way you look at him, the way you talk to him. You've got a crush on the dead last in class? I'm disappointed in you, Hinata. You can do so much better. I was seething. And Naruto-kun, he's not weak. He's strong. He just needs time. I couldn't say too much, but I couldn't just let her keep talking down to him. Oh my gods. You're in love. It's kind of pathetic, really. Sakura hissed with a snake-like grin. She charged me, ready to deliver another blow. I narrowed my eyes and dodged it easily before landing a powerful slap to her face. Admittedly, I might have gone a little overboard. Sakura was knocked off her feet and crashed to the ground. She even slid a bit in the dirt. Sakura! Irika shouted in alarm, having caught the exchange out the corner of his eye while watching over the field. He rushed over and knelt over Sakura. She was trembling, sending a fearful glance over to me from her defeated position on the ground. I went wide eyes. Oops. I got strange looks the rest of the day. After school, Naruto and I moved in separate directions like normal. After a while I turned and head back to our apartment, or our clearing. Kyuubi advised us that we should keep our relationship secret, but often I had doubts as to why. I knew why Naruto needed to hide his strength, but why couldn't I be outwardly open with our relationship? It was a bit frustrating, but Naruto agreed with Kyuubi, so I did as instructed. Still, hey, someone called out to me, snapping me out of my thoughts as I walked down a common path. I hadn't yet turned towards our apartment yet. I swiveled about and was surprised to see Sasuke. Oh, hello, Sasuke. I responded back pleasantly. What did you want? Sasuke has never really spoke to me or sought my attention. Like most girls, I was pretty much invisible to him. Not that I minded. What he did next completely shocked me. Without warning, Sasuke quickly pulled a kunai from his leg pouch and sent it sailing for my chest. I narrowly dodged it before finding another half-dozen kunai sailing my way. Sasuke! What I called out frantically while weaving through and dodging each deadly weapon which was sent my way. Sasuke appeared in the blink of an eye just above me. My body moved on instinct. He aimed an axe kick down on my head. I blocked his kick with one hand and gently swept his leg to the side to throw him off balance. Before he could recover, I spun and sent a palm at his chest. My strike landed clean, sending him sliding backwards. Sasuke stopped and grew a satisfied smirk. I had no idea what was going on. Was this really Sasuke? Why would he attack me? I was tempted to activate my Byakugan, but I thought better of it. It was too early for that. I knew it. Sasuke proclaimed. I frowned. Knew what? What's going on? I questioned warily. Sasuke tucked his hands in his pockets and walked up to me with his normal cool swagger. I hesitantly rose up from my fighting stance, though I was still on guard. You're stronger than everybody else in class. By a lot. Why are you hiding your strength? Sasuke asked while stopping right in front of me. I went wide-eyed and gazed off to the side, unsure of what to say. I didn't want to make something up. Not when I was so caught off guard. I knew it wouldn't sound believable, so I let out a calming breath and looked up to him with a serious gaze. That's my business. Please stop following me. I stated sternly before turning my back to him and beginning to walk off. Sasuke grabbed my wrist. My Byakugan flared. He made me nervous. I stared him down in warning. Sasuke matched my gaze without falter before letting me go. Suit yourself, he said with a scoff, turning away and walking off. I was about to continue on my way, but Sasuke called out to me one last time. For the record, pretending to be as weak as the other girls seems pretty dumb. The real you is far more appealing, he said with the corner of his eyes lingering on me before he jumped onto a branch and sped off. My face was as red as a tomato. What did he say? Ha ha. Oh my gods! Really? I can totally see him saying that. It's official. This was the most embarrassing moment of all time. I rushed to the clearing to tell Naruto about what happened, and he just started laughing. Like really hard. Naruto-kun, it's not that funny. I hope my voice didn't sound too whiny. I couldn't help pouting. Naruto was currently doing handstand push-ups, looking at me upside down. He had a large boulder cradled between his knees. He liked to do this particular exercise without a shirt. Usually I'd be staring at his toned figure, but today I was too distracted. Oh come on, Hinata-chan? You don't think it's even a little bit funny? I gazed off to the side with a frown. And not really. Doesn't it make you nervous about another boy saying those things to me? I poked my fingers together. I didn't want to admit it, but it would be nice if Naruto were at least a tiny bit jealous. Why would I be? Naruto responded nonchalantly. Oh, I guess you're right. There is nothing to be nervous about. As I finished my sentence, I heard a loud thud. What immediately followed were Naruto's big blue eyes staring at me an inch away from my face. Naruto had gotten fast since we've been together. Very fast. Oftentimes I couldn't keep up with his movements even with my Byakugan active. One moment Naruto was doing a handstand and the very next moment, he was right in front of me. He wrapped an arm around my waist and tugged me against him. I arched my back and placed my hands against his chest. There is no chance in hell I'd let anyone take what's already mine. Naruto's voice oozed confidence. He wore a cocky smile, eyeing me as if I were prey. I melted completely. When his lips crashed against mine, my knees nearly gave in. I had to grab onto his shoulders in order to keep myself from collapsing. He let out a hungry growl. The sound was amplified by a demonic echo. He'd been doing that a lot recently. The power of his growl sent shivers through my entire body. When he pulled back and let me go, I fell to my knees. I looked up to him as if he were a god. Naruto walked off the side to grab his t-shirt and orange jacket. I'm very pleased with what happened today. I've been wanting to talk to you more about my plans for the future. I've been thinking about it a lot and I have a few more details fleshed out, he said while casually walking back towards me and putting on his shirt and jacket. I nodded in a dumbfounded way. Naruto chuckled lightly and picked me up bridal style, which caused me to let out a little squeak. He knew how much I loved being carried like that. He carried me to our favorite spot. It was a little waterfall not too far away. We'd lay along the grass for hours staring up at the sky. Not only was the sound of the waterfall calming, but this location was high enough for us to get a very nice view of the sunset. We came here to relax, to talk, to just be with each other. Naruto lay in the grass on his back. I laid partially atop him with my head resting along his chest. I'm sorry about today. I was the first to break the silence. Naruto grabbed my butt and pulled me up until we were face to face. There is nothing to apologize for, Naruto insisted. I shook my head. But there is. I revealed my strength carelessly. Now everyone will look at me differently. Iruka seems suspicious and Sasuke now knows how much stronger I am than everyone else. Besides you, of course. I know you and Kyubi wanted me to hide my strength and I failed. I ranted with tears threatening to fall from my eyes. Naruto took a serious expression when staring up at me. Hinata-chan. I need you to listen to me. I gasped and nodded right away. Okay, Naruto-kun, stop apologizing. You made a small mistake. That's okay. As long as you learn from it, then there is nothing to feel guilty about. This is simply a learning opportunity. Nothing more, nothing less. His words were encouraging, but I still had doubts. I bowed my head and began poking my fingers together. Naruto grabbed my chin in order to pull my face to his, stealing a kiss from my lips. I melted once again. Do as your emperor says. You stop feeling guilty this instant. Naruto ordered in a playful yet still forceful enough tone that brought a smile to my face. As you command, your majesty. Naruto released another one of his demonic growls. He really liked it when I spoke that way. And I liked it too. We'd been doing that more and more recently. It seemed fitting. Good girl. My toes curled. He knew how his words affected me. I could see it in his satisfied grin. Now, let's start that lesson. Do you know why it's important for the both of us to hide our strength? I think so, Naruto-kun. I know that you need to hide your strength in order to avoid drawing suspicion to yourself. Especially since you've been punishing the villagers. Naruto nodded. Yes. But why is it important that you hide your strength? And more so, why is it important that we hide our relationship? I had to think hard about that one. Well, you are still considered the demon child, and a Hyuga being the girlfriend of the demon child will probably cause a ton of problems. Especially since that Hyuga happens to be the daughter of the clan leader. Naruto chuckled and kissed me on the forehead. Good answer, Hinata-chan. His encouraging words put a smile on my face. We were both resting atop the grass in our favorite spot near the waterfall. He laid on his back while I draped my body atop his, resting the side of my head along his shoulder. I want to go into more detail about why it has been important for the both of us to be so careful. I've been holding off on having this conversation because, quite honestly, I didn't think either one of us was fully ready to have it, given our age. I sat up now with a worried expression. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Naruto remained in his relaxed, laying position. I wanted to make sure that not only were we both at an age that would make it easier for us to understand our situation fully, but I also wanted to ensure that our relationship was strong enough to handle the truth. He was scaring me now. I began to fidget. What truth is that? Naruto's gaze settled upon me. You are my greatest weakness, Hinata-chan. I gasped, my hands covering my mouth in horror. He sat up quickly and wrapped his arms around my waist. Okay, before I say anything further you need to calm down right now. It's okay. We'll be fine. This is just a necessary part of the lesson. Naruto tried to reassure me. Tears were welling up in my eyes. I was overwhelmed with guilt. A deep-throated growl snapped me out of my despair. Naruto's intense, overbearing gaze bore down on me. His growl shook my body. I said, "Stop it." Naruto commanded. I quickly raised my arms to wipe my tears away. Why, yes, your majesty. I'm trying my best. Try harder. Okay. I closed my eyes and began to take deep breaths, just like my mother taught me. When I opened my eyes, Naruto was still staring at me. I bowed my head submissively and stayed silent. After he was satisfied with my compliance, he dropped back into his lazing lying position. Alright, now that that's out of the way, the lesson continues. Listen closely, Naruto said while staring up at the blue sky. I nodded in determination. My insecurities were replaced by deep focus. Naruto was very inspiring when he wanted to be. When you think about it, it's totally my fault for us having to be so cautious. Being the demon child is enough on its own, but punishing the villagers would be a real big bother if someone found out about it. And by someone I mean either the Hokage or his shinobi. Honestly, I don't even see it as a matter of fault. Our caution is simply a trade-off, a necessary consequence of my fun. Naruto sounded so casual while he spoke. I'd gotten used to how little compassion he showed for the villagers who glared at him. In fact, his nonchalant attitude helped calm me down. Smacking Sakura so hard earlier today drew attention to you. And I doubt that will be the last thing that draws attention to your strength. It is inevitable. Showing your strength would be completely fine if we weren't together. But we are together, and if someone really wanted to investigate you, it wouldn't be hard to figure that out. You were right. Just the fact that the daughter of the Hyuga clan chief is dating the demon child would be scandalous enough, but that extra attention would also increase the chance that my fun is discovered. I nodded. That all seemed to make sense even if I couldn't articulate it as well as Naruto. It seems like he was getting smarter and smarter every day. But here is the real problem, Hinata-chan. I leaned in. Like I mentioned before, you are my weakness because you aren't strong enough to protect yourself if we are discovered. Right now I'd say you are about as strong as a high-level chunin. I'm just a bit stronger than the Hokage. If the village descended on me, I'd be able to escape, but I wouldn't be able to ensure your safety during the escape. I might not even be able to guarantee your safety as we run for our lives and live as missing Nin. My guilt was resurfacing. I'm sore. Before I could finish the sentence, Naruto tugged on my hips, dragging me down atop his body. His lips crashed into mine. He muffled my gasp. Stop that. You don't need to apologize. And every time you try, I'm going to punish you with a kiss, Naruto said with a slick smirk. Oh, sore. He was true to his word, planting another quick smooch against my lips. I was tempted to apologize on purpose just to get more punishment from him, but I think he'd done exactly what he wanted. My guilt was completely gone once more. Okay, as I was saying, I can't guarantee your protection as you are now. And even if I could manage to keep you safe during an escape, I'd rather not leave Konoha at all. It's very convenient living here. After gaining your father's sworn allegiance, and the allegiance of the entire Hyuga clan, the funding they provide me makes it easy to hide the abductions. Plus I now effectively have spies on the Konoha Council that feeds me very interesting secrets and intelligence. So I want to avoid fleeing Konoha, but I also don't want to stop my fun. That leaves us with a few solutions. One in particular stands out. Something he said gave me pause, but I decided not to interrupt. Naruto noticed. What's on your mind, Hinata-chan? Don't be afraid to ask questions. He knew me all too well. It's about my father. I'm still amazed by that whole night over a year ago. I would have never expected father to swear allegiance to you. Let alone the entire Hyuga clan. Up until now I just thought that you scared him enough by killing so many of them that he gave up out of fear. But the more I think about it, the more things bother me. Naruto had this pleased smile on his lips. Go on, he directed. I took a moment to gather my thoughts before continuing. Well, you just said you are only a little stronger than the Hokage. First of all, I find that really amazing. You've grown so much since we've been together. I didn't even know you were that much stronger than me. I knew you were stronger, just not that much. I began to poke my fingers together. Yeah, I'll explain that too, but continue. Naruto stated nonchalantly. I nodded. Well, even if you are that strong, that's still not strong enough to defeat all of Konoha. You are immune to Hyuga attacks because of Kyuubi, yes, but like you admitted, if Konoha launched a coordinated attack on you, you wouldn't be able to defeat them. You would have to run. And you are much stronger now than you were when you fought my father. If he wanted, he could have retreated, taken a few more losses, but then reported to the Hokage and gathered the entire might of Konoha against you. Instead, not only did he give up, but he also convinced the entire Hyuga Council to swear allegiance to you. They even go so far as to pay financial tribute to you, spy for you, and help hide your abduction of the villagers. How did you make that happen? Naruto's grin was huge. I'm so proud of you, Hinata-chan. Hearing him praise me like that made me blush as hard as the very first time we kissed. Your ability to figure this out on your own is why I'm confident that you are ready to hear and truly understand everything I have to say. Every day you show just how worthy you are to be my empress. Again, I don't know how I managed not to pass out from the lack of blood flow and the rest of my body relative to my face. Thank you, Emperor Naruto-kun. He chuckled and gave me an Eskimo kiss. You're welcome, Empress Hinata-chan. A quiver creeped up my spine. He was just too much. So, to your point, yes, it is strange that your father would act as he did. The simple explanation is he had very little choice. You see, I wasn't strong enough back then to challenge Konoha, and when we talked I openly admitted that I wasn't strong enough. Well, Kyuubi did most of the talking and pointed out an undeniable truth. While I couldn't fight all of Konoha, I also couldn't be captured. Kyuubi had fought all of Konoha already. He knew exactly what they could do and could not do. Hiashi wouldn't be able to do anything to stop me from escaping and becoming a missing nin. I just listened, trying to take it all in. Kyuubi argued that as a missing nin my power would rise exponentially with time. Kyuubi promised that within just 3 years I would return to Konoha and by that time I'd be unstoppable. And Kyuubi was not bluffing. At the rate that my power is increasing, I'll mostly be at that level in less than what Kyuubi calculated. So Hiashi had a choice. Swear his allegiance and convince the Hyuga Council to swear their allegiance to me, or he can inform the Hokage and hope that they would kill me. If they couldn't, then Konoha would be destroyed in 3 years' time. My eyes widened in realization. So allegiance or annihilation? I stated in a dumbfounded way. Exactly. Naruto seemed very satisfied with that set of facts. What about me? I spoke up tentatively. Naruto's gaze softened. You're the primary reason, Kyuubi, and I even decided to give Hiashi a choice. I wanted to stay in the village because I wanted to be with you without hindrance. If I fled, I probably couldn't take you with me. I planned to return in 3 years and take you back after destroying the village. I was very conflicted to hear that admission. Naruto let out a light-hearted laugh while scratching the top of his head. Yeah, not the most ideal situation. Definitely glad your dad made the right choice. But I really have to thank Kyuubi for being such a good negotiator. I've learned a lot from him. I sighed and laid my head down along Naruto's chest in exasperation. This was becoming a lot to take in, but I wanted to press on. Thanks for answering my questions, Naruto-kun. I want to finish hearing about the rest of your plans. I don't want to continue being your weakness. Naruto wrapped his arms around me and squeezed tight, holding me close. Yes, I do have a solution to that. I want to start training you from now on. I mean really training you. Up until now we've been training together, but not really as sensei and student. Now I want you to become my student. I need to invest more in your strength, but it also means you need to be more dedicated to improvement. I didn't even have to think about it. Of course I will, Naruto-kun. I blurted out without thought. He chuckled with a small shake of his head. Somehow that doesn't surprise me. Honestly, I was okay with the way things were going. I didn't want to put too much pressure on you too quickly. I wanted to just enjoy our relationship without having to bog you down with responsibility. Now that our relationship has developed and you've grown stronger, I feel comfortable moving to the next step. I'm glad you trust me so much, Naruto-kun. What he was saying made sense. I was grateful that we were able to just be together for so long. But he's right. I have to pull my weight even if it's hard. I've always trusted you, Hinata-chan. There is another very important factor to starting your training under me. It's this, Naruto said while suddenly sitting up. Now I was positioned atop his lap. Naruto took out a small scroll from his leg pouch and made a few one-handed hand signs before slamming his palm on the ground. As he did, a larger scroll dropped from a cloud of smoke. He snatched it out of the air and unrolled it. These are the instructions on how to perform the Kage Shadow Clone Jutsu. I acquired this a while ago, with Kyuubi's help. It's not the original scroll, but I was able to make a copy of it. This jutsu is the key to my strength and exponential growth. And soon it will aid you in a similar way. I frowned in confusion, looking the scroll over. But I can already make clones, Naruto-kun. Naruto shook his head. Not like these. The clone jutsu that are taught in the academy are basically just illusions. They aren't physical. The clones I'm going to teach you how to make are physical. You divide your chakra among them when you create them. You've seen my clones do work for me. Well, I'm going to teach you to do the same thing. Up until now you haven't had the chakra capacity to sustain these clones for any significant period of time, so the technique wasn't very useful to you. Now you do. Through mastery of this jutsu your strength will rise exponentially. I was still a bit confused. What is the point of making these clones if they divide my chakra? The Hyuga fighting style is best when focused. I feel like I just make myself weaker by making multiple weak copies of myself. Naruto nodded. Normally yes. Which is why you rarely if ever see Hyuga shinobi using cloning techniques. However, the real power of this ability isn't necessarily their combat utility, but their ability to allow you to train at exponentially fast rates. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? It's really quite simple. The clones share your memories, your abilities, but most importantly, any information they learn will be transferred to the original once that clone is dismissed. Clones take up so much chakra that most people can't actually put this trait to good use. The few that can simply haven't noticed the potential. It also can be dangerous if you overexert yourself. For someone like me who has had the guidance of an ancient demon to help master the technique, I've been able to train virtually endlessly with no drawbacks. This is the main reason I've grown so much stronger than you. At every given moment I have over 100 clones training for me. My eyes widened. What? He gave a proud nod. Yep. I have an unusually high amount of chakra. Probably has something to do with being the son of the Hokage. My only limitation is chakra control and refining my capacity. However, my clones have been doing that for me over the past year or so. My clones constantly practice chakra control techniques. They do chakra strength increasing exercises. Chakra is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Since my clones actually share my chakra, when they improve the chakra they have, that improved chakra comes back to me and I get the benefit. The knowledge they gain in terms of chakra control also comes back to me. Furthermore, the reason it may seem like I've been getting smarter is because I have a few dozen clones reading books at the library and practicing mental exercises. It actually kind of feels like cheating. Naruto burst into childish laughter. I marveled at him. Do you really have so much chakra that you can constantly sustain so many clones? I was amazed. I didn't at first. Kyuubi helped me out by letting me borrow his chakra supply to fuel my clones. I'd mix my chakra with Kyuubi's chakra. Their training wouldn't be as effective, but Kyuubi allowed me to kind of speed up the process. And the chakra control techniques were a huge help to increasing my access to my giant supply of chakra. Now I use only my own chakra. I'm guessing that within a year's time I'll be the strongest person in the world by far. And I'll only keep getting stronger because my clones will constantly be working for me. The only limit is chakra, and I have a near-endless supply. Probably as much if not more than the first Hokage. Doesn't that leave you vulnerable though? Splitting your chakra up like that? Naruto shrugged. Not really. I'm about at half chakra capacity at all times. What I do is I make one clone, splitting my total chakra in half. Then I have that clone make all the other clones, so I'm still left with half my chakra. The way chakra works, I'm not any less strong by having a temporarily lower chakra capacity. If I start to run low during combat, I'll just dismiss clones to give me more chakra. So functionally, In a fight I'm always at 100% strength until I actually run out of chakra completely. If my clone exhausts its chakra or is destroyed by an enemy, then it poofs away and that chakra doesn't return. However, if I dismiss a clone early, then I get back most of the chakra I used to make it in the first place. It's pretty efficient actually. We were both quiet for a long while after that. My brain was processing all that new information. Naruto seemed to know exactly when I was being overloaded. So that's what you are going to do for me? Teach me how to make clones and have them trained for me? Yep. You won't grow as fast as me because you don't have the freakish amount of chakra that I do, but I calculate that in about 2 years, as long as you stay diligent, I will no longer have to worry about you. That's all I needed to hear. I narrowed my eyes in determination. I'm ready, Naruto-kun. Naruto chuckled and nodded his head. Okay, Hinata-chan. We have a few more things to go over, but that's enough for one day. For now, let's focus on making your first clone. From now on we are going to grow your chakra so you can have your clones last longer and longer. I nodded obediently. Yes, sensei. Naruto released a deep demonic growl. He stared at me predatorily. I guess he liked that. Training can wait a little while longer, Naruto declared before pouncing. A flock of birds in a nearby tree flew away when hearing the sudden sound of my delighted squeals. You keep pushing me away, yet we've spared for over a month now. I know you feel something for me. Sasuke's voice drawled out. He's cornered me, backing me up against a tree. He rested a hand against the bark right next to my head. He was taller, his shadow engulfing my shorter frame. I turned my head away and cast my gaze off to the side. He placed a hand under my chin to direct my eyes towards him. His face was barely an inch away. I frowned and pushed his hand away. We haven't been sparring. You just keep attacking me after school. All I'm doing is defending myself, I insisted in a huff. Sasuke smirked. He was pressing his body closer and closer to mine. As close as he could get without actually touching me. Is that what you're telling yourself? He was so confident, no, arrogant. It annoyed me. His hot breath was berating against my face. My blush was involuntary. He somehow saw that as a sign to continue his advances. Stop, Sasuke, I whispered under my breath. He pretended like he didn't hear me, his lips getting closer and closer to mine. I've been around girls fawning over me for years now. I know when your body wants something more. Tell me how you really feel after this. Sasuke dipped his head forward. He was going to kiss me. I panicked. I said stop. I hit him harder than I wanted. Both my hands landed clean on his chest, chakra erupting from my palms. I barely managed not to make my blow lethal. Sasuke slid back on his feet, the boy dropping to one knee and coughing violently. I flared my Byakugan, but not as a threat. I just needed to make sure he was okay. His internal organs were fine. I just deflated his lungs a bit, effectively knocking the wind out of him. My entire body was shaking as I watched him. He looked up at me after a moment, still wearing that smug smirk. God, it's like he enjoyed the punishment. A girl after my own heart. Sometimes I think that sentiment is more literal than figurative. Sasuke joked. I held my hands to my heart and bit into my bottom lip. Wordlessly I turned heel and took off into the trees. Thankfully Sasuke didn't follow. I can't do this anymore, Naruto-kun. Please don't make me. I was crying into Naruto's chest. He was shirtless and in the middle of a workout when I frantically sprinted into the clearing. Despite him doing push-ups with a large boulder on his back, I ran straight for him. He immediately noticed my alarm and stood up just as I launched myself towards him. Sure, it's okay, Hinata-chan. Tell me what happened. I told him, and Naruto's eyes narrowed. Naruto was sweating heavily from his workout. His scent served to calm me. He held me close and rubbed circles in my back. He nodded as I finished my story. All right, my love. It's over now. I'm ready to move forward anyway. I just need you to do one more thing for me. This time I think you'll like it. I looked up at him curiously. Naruto grew a devilish grin. The next day Sasuke followed me after school again. After getting about a mile away from the school, he started to attack me like he usually did. I hope I didn't freak you out too much yesterday. I'll back off for a while. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Sasuke spoke out as he charged me. I turned around and held out a hand. I knew he would stop when he saw my face, and he did. I cast a stern glance towards him. He stopped right in his tracks. Follow me, I stated simply while hopping onto a nearby tree branch. He raised a brow in curiosity but followed along. I stared straight forward as we moved swiftly through the trees. Where are we going? He finally questioned after a few minutes of travel. You'll see, Sasuke, I responded shortly. Sasuke was clearly thrown off by my coldness. He didn't ask any more questions until we arrived at Naruto's clearing. Naruto was waiting for us there fully dressed. He stood in a casual manner with his hands behind his head carelessly. I walked straight up to Naruto and rose up on my tippy toes to give him a kiss, to Sasuke's great surprise. "Hey Sasuke." Naruto called out with a lazy wave. Sasuke walked up to us with his gaze narrowed. "What is this?" Sasuke was clearly not pleased. I leaned against Naruto and rested my head on my emperor's shoulders. Sasuke looked at me in disbelief. "You're with the dobe?" Sasuke accused. That made me mad. I frowned but was interrupted by Naruto's playful laughter. "Totally, I get to do whatever I want with her." Naruto taunted while reaching down and squeezing my butt. I squeaked in surprise. Even despite knowing that he'd show his dominance in some way, it was still super embarrassing. Sasuke didn't like that one bit. "It disappoints me to see you with this weakling." Sasuke spat out. God, he knew how to get under my skin. Before I could respond, Naruto gently moved me out of the way and walked forward. "Is that so?" Naruto retorted while cocking his head to the side. Sasuke reached for his kunai pouch, glaring heatedly at Naruto. "She deserves better." Sasuke insisted in a dark tone. "Correction, she deserves the best." Naruto insisted. That made my heart flutter. I rested both my hands against my chest and stayed quiet. Naruto told me he would handle this, so I did nothing to interfere. "Then she deserves someone like me." Sasuke snapped back. Naruto chuckled. "Alright, enough games. How about this, Sasuke? If you are able to beat me in a fight, then you can have her. Either kill me or make me give up. If you can beat me, then clearly you are better suited at protecting her." Naruto proposed. Sasuke scoffed. "You act like she's a thing to be given away." Naruto saw right through him. "So you decline my challenge?" Sasuke took a kunai from his pouch and prepared to charge. "Yeah, that's what I thought." Naruto commented. "I'll at least prove that you aren't worthy of her," Sasuke said while speeding forward like I'd seen him do dozens of times. Sasuke moved faster than he ever has. It was at this point I realized that Sasuke had been holding back when he fought me. It was fascinating, but still Naruto was on a totally different level. Sasuke's first attack landed clean. He delivered an axe kick to Naruto's head. Naruto didn't even bother blocking. Sasuke gritted his teeth when Naruto seemed unfazed by the attack. In a skillful maneuver, Sasuke turned his body in the air and landed a punch to Naruto's cheek. Still, Naruto didn't move. In fact, Sasuke winced from the pain of hitting Naruto. Naruto was like a brick wall. Then came the kunai. Sasuke kicked away from Naruto and sent a half-dozen towards Naruto. Naruto, in a very lazy fashion, caught each one out of the air. That was just a distraction, however. The next moment a huge plume of fire erupted from Sasuke's mouth and engulfed Naruto's body. I had to stop myself from screaming. I knew Naruto was strong, but to take an attack like that without moving out of the way. I guess I didn't really understand just how strong Naruto was until today. Sasuke froze when seeing his work. After how mad he was, I don't think he truly intended to kill Naruto. His fear was gone a moment later as Naruto calmly walked forward, his entire body on fire. Naruto's clothes were burned away, just leaving the completely naked and ash-covered form of Naruto. My face was as red as a tomato. I could see everything. I had to look away. Impressive, Sasuke. Truly impressive. Now let me show you who I am, Naruto stated in a haunting voice. Wa-ga! Sasuke began before being silenced by a punch to the stomach. My Byakugan was flared in order to better observe the fight, but like usual I still couldn't keep up with Naruto's speed. One moment Naruto was standing a few feet away, the next he was right in front of Sasuke, delivering a crushing fist to the boy's gut. Sasuke went wide-eyed, the boy backing up and holding his stomach. He fell to his knees and spat out blood. Naruto's shadow cast over the boy now. Then Naruto did something that scared even me. He flared his chakra. The area around us trembled as Naruto's body oozed blue energy. Then out of that blue energy came red chakra which lashed out wildly. Sasuke was terrified and quite frankly, so was I. As soon as that chakra flared it was gone. Naruto squatted down to eye level with Sasuke. The other boy was hunched over on all fours. What are you? Sasuke spoke in a shaky voice. The future emperor of this world. Naruto replied back without missing a beat. And this is my empress. Hearing my cue I scampered over to Naruto and stood meekly by his side. Naruto was very intimidating when he wanted to be. Still I trusted him completely. He stood up and wrapped an arm around my waist, hugging me to his naked body with a possessive grip. My face was red as a tomato. I buried my face in his chest, trying to hide my embarrassment. He was still naked. Rise, Sasuke, Naruto commanded. With shaky knees, Sasuke managed to stand up. I watched the boy out the corner of my eye. I will tell you this once and only once. Don't ever touch what is mine again, in that way, Naruto warned. Sasuke hesitated, looking over towards me. You speak as if she's your property. She is my property. She belongs to me. She's all mine. Naruto growled possessively while tightening his grip around my waist. I thought I was going to faint. God, that was so sexy. I wasn't even fazed by the implications of what he said. I was his and only his. I'd let him do anything he wanted to me. Anything. To hammer home his point, Naruto grabbed my butt again and forced me onto my tippy toes. He then crashed his lips into mine. I squealed and arched my back, completely giving in to his dominance. I could see that even while he kissed me, Naruto had his gaze trained on Sasuke. I looked out the corner of my eye towards the boy, and Sasuke was actually looking away. He seemed just as embarrassed as I was. We were still kids after all. Being trained to kill didn't exactly make us used to this kind of stuff. And Naruto was still naked. Is this why you brought me here? Just to rub it in my face. Sasuke spoke bitterly. Naruto took a moment to indulge in that kiss before finally pulling away. A little string of spit connected our mouths. Naruto licks his lips. I was a swooning mess. I could hardly care about what they were talking about anymore. I just stared up at Naruto as if he were a god. In my eyes he was. As much fun as this is, I had another important matter to discuss. Yeah, and what's that? I want to offer you my power. I know you want to grow strong so you can one day get revenge on your brother. If you train under me, then one day you will. Naruto explained. This was new information to me. I was paying attention now, turning to look towards Sasuke as I clung to Naruto's side. Sasuke gritted his teeth. The subject clearly upset him. How do you know about that? Naruto grinned. I have friends in high places. I know a lot of things. I know what Itachi and Danzo did. Danzo? Sasuke questioned, not recognizing the name. Naruto's grin widened. Sasuke hesitated. I could see the wheels turning in his head. What's the cost? Sasuke spoke up after a moment of thought. Your loyalty. Naruto explained. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Loyalty, huh? What do you want from me? Sasuke questioned apprehensively. Naruto shook his head. It's not about what I want, but what she needs. Naruto corrected, turning to me now. Naruto? I was confused. Judging by his face, so was Sasuke. I told you I would be the emperor of this world, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this world to its knees and crush anyone that gets in my way, Naruto proclaimed. Just a few minutes ago I think Sasuke would have laughed if he heard Naruto speak like that. But after witnessing Naruto's power, Sasuke just listened. Hinata will be my empress in the new world I will create. She is strong and will only grow stronger. However, still, I can't guarantee her safety at all times. Even when she becomes so strong that no one except me can challenge her, I will still worry. Naruto's voice was softer now. He looked down at me with a gentle expression. I could see what he was getting at now. That's where you come in, Sasuke. I offer to train you, to make you stronger than you can possibly imagine. Stronger than Itachi, stronger than the Hokage, stronger than anyone but Hinata and I. In exchange you must pledge your loyalty, and your life to Hinata. Pledge to always protect her, even when I can't. Naruto proposed. I gasped. So that was his plan. It made sense now. The reason Naruto allowed Sasuke to follow me around for months was so he could grow close to me, close enough to consider Naruto's offer. I marveled at Naruto's brilliance. Still, Sasuke had yet to agree. I returned my attention to the boy. He was staring me down, clearly conflicted about Naruto's offer. Did you know about this? Sasuke questioned. I shook my head. Not until just now. I stated honestly. He scanned me and must have been satisfied by my answer. After a little more thought, Sasuke nodded. Okay. He stated simply. Hinata, step forward. Naruto ordered. I complied right away, stepping over to Sasuke. I bowed my head as we neared. Naruto began to encircle us, watching us with an intense gaze. Sasuke, kneel. Naruto commanded. Sasuke got down on one knee, bowing his head. Sasuke Uchiha, do you swear to protect Hinata with your life, and give your life for her if need be? Naruto questioned. I do. Naruto nodded. Empress Hinata Uzumaki, do you accept Sasuke into your service? My heart fluttered when Naruto said my name. We weren't officially married, but it was music to my ears. I think Naruto was reading my mind. This little ritual of ours made me wish that I was marrying Naruto right now. But Naruto attaching his last name to mine assured me that I was still his. I do, Sasuke, give Hinata your kunai and raise your hand. Naruto continued to instruct. Sasuke complied without hesitation, reaching into his pouch and twirling a kunai around his finger before presenting it to me. Hinata, take it and cut your name into his palm so he will never forget this oath. My eyes widened in shock. I looked at Naruto with the mind to protest, but seeing his serious gaze quelled my doubt. I nodded obediently while taking the kunai from Sasuke. Sasuke seemed even more resolute than I. He opened his palm and gave me an affirmative nod. After a moment of hesitation, I took Sasuke's palm and began to stab my name into it. I made sure to draw the kanji for Uzumaki as well. Sasuke gritted his teeth and bowed his head, his other hand balled into a fist to cope with the pain. I felt a bit guilty, but I drew from Sasuke's strength. He was the one that had to endure this, and he did not speak one word of complaint. After I finished, I dropped the kunai. My hands were shaking. Naruto nodded in satisfaction. Now you are forever bound. Never forget your oath, Naruto proclaimed. Sasuke nodded and rose to his feet. He looked at his palm inquisitively before balling his fist and standing in a strong and upright fashion. Naruto moved behind me now, wrapping both arms around my waist. Good. Usually this would be a moment to celebrate, but I actually think that the most appropriate way to celebrate would be to start your training right away. What do you think, Sasuke? Naruto questioned. Sasuke smirked. You read my mind. I was amazed how strong Sasuke was. Even after all that, he regained his cool, cocky attitude almost right away. Good. Sasuke, line up with the empress. You will be training together from now on, Naruto instructed while swatting me on the butt. I squeaked and jumped, stepping over to Sasuke. He walked to my side as I turned around to face Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Sasuke. I knew exactly what Naruto was thinking. Sasuke, what do you say when your emperor gives you a command? I spoke up now. Sasuke looked down at me in hesitation for a second. Forgive me, Empress, Sasuke said with a slight bow of his head before turning his attention to Naruto. Yes, Emperor Naruto. Naruto grew a bright smile. Yeah, I could get used to that, Naruto stated in a light-hearted manner. I couldn't help giggling. Naruto was so funny. Don't let it go to our head, Sasuke sassed. Yeah. Naruto waved a hand dismissively. I was glad Naruto wasn't taking everything too seriously. After Naruto put on a backup pair of clothes, we all trained until the sun went down. Sasuke was absolutely exhausted. I was a lot less tired, having been used to Naruto's training regimen. Holy fuck, Sasuke commented in exasperation while staring up at the sky, splayed out on his back. Naruto laid on his back right next to Sasuke. I was on the other side of Naruto, clinging to my emperor, the side of my head resting on his chest while I looked over to Sasuke. Yeah, I remember feeling the same way when I first started training under Naruto-kun. Is it going to be like this every day? Sasuke questioned in disbelief. Yep. It has to be, or else you'll grow too slowly. I can't have a weakling protesting my empress, Naruto declared in a chipper manner. Sasuke smirked, the boy putting his hands behind his head. Good, Sasuke stated approvingly. This day was one to remember. Naruto never failed to amaze me. As long as I was by his side, I felt like nothing could stop us, nothing could tear us apart. He was so smart, so strong. Sometimes I felt a bit dumb in comparison to him, but he wouldn't let me think that way. It was just nice to have someone with as much foresight as Naruto. I felt invincible, untouchable, safe. But the best part was that I actually got to see him naked. I had a very good dream that night. I usually tell Naruto everything, but in this particular case I think I'll keep this dream to myself. Hinata, you are late. I flinched as I heard my father's voice call out from the other room. Him and my little sister Hanabi were already in the dining room eating dinner. I knelt down at the entrance to the dining room and bowed, awaiting permission to enter as was tradition. I'm sorry, father. My training with Naruto went on longer than we thought it would. You waste your breath with useless excuses. Come, father stated sternly. I raised my head and couldn't help looking harshly at my father. He matched my gaze. Hanabi watched silently from the side. I took my place at the opposite end of the dinner mat. Perhaps you should take it up with the emperor, I sassed while picking up a cup of tea. A long silence fell over the room. It was hard to speak to my father that way, but recently I felt invincible. Hanabi looked at me as if I were crazy. She then looked to my father expectantly but seemed disappointed that he didn't immediately snap back. Father, you're going to let her speak to you like that? Hanabi questioned in alarm. Silence, Hanabi, Father barked. Hanabi bowed her head respectfully, though I could see how angry she was. Father picked up a cup of tea and sipped calmly from it. Empress. Father called out to me. I was still getting used to being addressed like that by my father. Somehow it made me regret sassing him. I immediately felt guilty using my position as Naruto's empress to gain power over him. I respect the emperor's desires, however you are still my daughter. Father explained. I began to fidget before bowing my head. I'm sorry, Father. Father nodded in approval and we ate like normal. The entire time Hanabi continued to steal harsh glances my way. Hanabi, speak your mind. Father finally called out. I just don't see why we have to deal with this. She acts so disrespectfully and all she gets are words. She should be punished. Hanabi pointed out. I flinched. I could feel my sister's ire towards me. An empress is entitled to certain privileges. Father stated simply. Father was calm. He did give Hanabi permission to talk, so he showed no hostility to her honesty. Hinata can't even beat me in a fight. Empress or not, respect is earned. Hanabi insisted. Hanabi pointed out a noteworthy fact. I still held back in our sparring sessions. I still couldn't find it in my heart to beat her when I knew how Father looked at anyone he deemed weak. A look he has given me countless times, though the way Hanabi looked at me broke my heart. I wanted so badly for us to just be sisters, but she seemed to only see me as a rival. Is that how you truly feel, Hanabi? Father questioned. Hanabi nodded resolutely. It is, Father. Father closed his eyes. I could see he was deep in thought. To the dojo. Father ordered. Hanabi quickly rose to her feet. It had been a while since she and I sparred. Naruto was keeping me busy and Father understood how strong I was becoming under Naruto's tutelage. I was a bit nervous about Father's order, but I didn't protest. Once in the dojo, Hanabi stood in front of me already in her fighting stance. Father watched over us like usual with his hands tucked into his sleeve. Hinata, use 30% of your strength. Father ordered. Hanabi and I looked at Father in disbelief. Father, but I sputtered. I wasn't sure Father knew what he was asking. Enough, Hinata. She needs to learn. Father insisted. I still held doubt. Hanabi couldn't believe her ears. Father, you don't truly believe Hinata stands a chance against me, do you? Let alone while just using 30% of her strength. Father ignored her, staring sternly at me. I gave a defeated nod. Yes, Father. I conceded. I closed my eyes in focus. I prepared my chakra. I had to make sure it was no higher than 30%. If I went even a little bit over, then my attack might kill her. Hanabi was still doubtful. Begin. Father ordered. Hanabi charged immediately, the girl thrusting a palm towards me. It was over in a second. I sidestepped her attack easily and swept out my leg towards her, ducking under her arm and delivering a powerful palm to her heart. Chakra exploded from her back. The hard part of the fight was directing my palm blast in such a way so as to only scathe her organs and knock the wind out of her like I did to Sasuke. Still, at 30% power it was hard to control the energy. Hanabi fell over immediately, the girl dropping to her knees and grabbing her chest in pain. Hanabi! I shouted in panic. I hoped she was okay. Hinata, step away from Hanabi. Father called out. I froze, hesitating for a moment before nodding and taking steps back. He moved over to Hanabi. She was struggling to breath. He looked down at her harshly. Hinata has held back for quite some time. All to save you the embarrassment of defeat. You should show her far more respect. Father lectured before turning to me. Yet your restraint is also your weakness. You disrespect your sister's efforts by denying her the experience of defeat. Were it not for the Emperor, your soft heart could spell doom for this family. I turned my gaze away, wrapping my arms around myself. Even in victory, Father always found a way to put me down. Empress. Father addressed me with a respectful bow before turning his back and leaving us alone in the dojo. Hanabi and I maintained an awkward silence while she recovered. I finally walked up and reached out in an attempt to help her up. She slapped my hand away. I don't need your help. She spat. I was on the brink of tears. I'm sorry. That was all I could think of saying. How long? She questioned in an angry tone. How long? I was a bit confused. How long have you been holding back? I was afraid to answer. Since the beginning. She gritted her teeth. You've always been this strong? I shook my head. Not at first. I only became really strong after Naruto-kun started training me. Hanabi finally rose to her feet and crossed her arms. The Emperor? She said with a scoff. I was a bit upset that she said Naruto's title so disrespectfully, but I didn't want to be too combative. Yes, the Emperor. She rolled her eyes. I frowned. I think you should show him a little more respect. Even father has accepted Naruto-kun as emperor. I spoke meekly. She turned her back to me. Father has forgotten his Hyuga pride. Hanabi declared. I gasped, placing my hands over my mouth. You can't mean that, Hanabi. She began to walk away. What if I introduce you? You could see how strong Naruto-kun is. Maybe you can see why father respects him. I proposed. Hanabi stopped. I could tell she was thinking it over. Also, maybe he can share his power with you. I know you want to lead the clan one day. Well, if you were to grow really strong, then you'd be more than worthy. Hanabi stared me down out of the corner of her eye. All right. The walk to the clearing was especially nerve-wracking today. It took a few days for me to set up the meeting between Naruto and my sister. It seemed that Naruto intentionally made Hanabi wait. I didn't question it. Hanabi moved next to me as we jumped from tree branch to tree branch. I was surprised how fast she was. I don't think I was that fast at her age. Really, the only reason I was stronger than her before meeting Naruto was because I was 2 years older. Even despite being older, I wasn't that much stronger. Well, not until Naruto started training me. By the time we got to the clearing, Naruto was waiting for us. He sat on a boulder. The same gigantic boulder he used for his training. Sasuke stood off to the side, leaning against a tree with his hands tucked into his pockets. I walked up and bowed to Naruto. Emperor Naruto-kun. I stated respectfully, Empress. Naruto acknowledged me with a small nod. This seemed really official, like a high court meeting. Hanabi didn't show Naruto the same respect. She walked up next to me with her arms folded, eyeing him challengingly. So you must be the little ball of fire, Hanabi. Hanabi nodded silently. I hear a great deal about you. And I'm sure you've heard about me, given that your father is one of my most useful and loyal subjects. Naruto still spoke in a carefree manner. He maintained a relaxed position atop the boulder. It kind of served as an impromptu throne. Don't speak about my father that way. He may accept your little game, but I'm not here to indulge your stupid fantasy. Hanabi snapped. I let out an audible gasp. I could see Naruto's gaze growing more serious. Naruto-kun, please, she doesn't know, I began to plead. Naruto raised a hand. I went silent right away. He then did a waving motion, and I immediately stepped to the side, leaving Hanabi alone to face Naruto. Naruto stood up from his throne and walked forward towards my sister. It's interesting that you would speak to me in such a disrespectful way. Surely you heard about what I did to your father and the other members of your clan. Naruto pointed out. Hanabi stood strong. I admired her strength, even though I feared for her. Father may be afraid of you, but I won't be, even if you are stronger than all of us. I am a Hyuga, and I won't bow down to someone who treats me and my clan with such little respect. Naruto stopped in front of her now, looking down with an amused smile. I knew that smile. It was the same smile he gave towards his victims. I was getting more nervous by the second. Your father understands that your personal notions of respect means little to an emperor. In my world, respect is what I say it is. Naruto spoke in an eerily calm voice. Hanabi scoffed. Father is a coward. My heart sunk. Was that what she truly thought? The moment became a lot more tense as Naruto went silent and Hanabi looked up at him defiantly. I could tell something bad was going to happen. I wasn't wrong. Hanabi yelled as Naruto pounced. Naruto was too fast for me to catch every detail. One moment Naruto stood calmly, the next moment Naruto had Hanabi pinned on the ground. Get off me! Hanabi screamed. Naruto ignored her, putting a hand to her throat and squeezing. I could see her hands grabbing desperately at his wrists. Naruto! I pleaded. He sent me an intense look and I immediately backed down, bowing my head submissively. I thought for a moment that Kyuubi might have taken over, but no, Naruto's eyes were still blue. This was my Naruto. He settled his gaze back on Hanabi, who was struggling for breath. Then he did the unspeakable. He ripped off her jacket, exposing her fishnet shirt below. Soon that was torn away as well. Now her budding chest was completely exposed. Naruto. Sasuke spoke up now. Silence. Naruto's powerful, demonic voice boomed. Sasuke gritted his teeth but backed down as well, looking away now. Tears poured from Hanabi's eyes as he yanked her pants down, leaving her in just her panties. You call him a coward, yet look at you. I can smell your fear. Naruto barked. Hanabi's entire body was trembling. She closed her thighs, but Naruto wouldn't have it. With a firm motion, Naruto forced her thighs apart just enough to grab at her panty-covered crotch, groping her roughly. This is the world he fears, the fate he fears for his daughters, for his clan. If you believe yourself stronger than him, then stop me, push me away. Naruto's deep voice growled. Hanabi was a mess, the girl squirming as Naruto's hands rubbed against her nethers. Stop me! Naruto ordered. I can't! Hanabi screamed. Naruto paused now, staring down at her with a narrowed gaze. I finally saw just how terrified she was. Moments ago Hanabi seemed like an immovable mountain, but now she just seemed like a scared little girl. Because that's exactly what she was. Naruto leaned down and breathed huskily against her neck. She turned her head away and continued to cry. I could hear soft whimpers coming from her. Say my name. Naruto whispered. The Emperor. What? Emperor Naruto. She squealed. What else? I'm sorry, Emperor Naruto. Hanabi whimpered. Naruto seemed satisfied with that. He backed away, standing up to leave Hanabi whimpering on her back. He then nodded over to me. As soon as I got that signal I sprinted over to Hanabi and kneeled at her side. She immediately jumped at me, burying her face in my chest and bawling her eyes out. All I could do was hold her close and caress her head like Mother used to do for me. Naruto returned to his rocky throne and took a seat. Welp, now that that's out of the way, I expect to see you here first thing in the morning? Naruto called out in a chipper voice. He was back to his carefree attitude as if nothing happened. Hanabi looked over to him with a tentative glance. I need you to be strong so something like that can never happen to you or anyone in my police force. Hell, anyone at all for that matter. Naruto explained. Even I had a confused look. Naruto grinned. The Hyuga clan will be the enforcers of my new world. In many ways they are perfect for it. I'm going to create a world where murder, rape, or even maiming someone is punishable by death. That will apply even to my police force. Everyone will be treated the same except for the few individuals I grant exception to. Given that, I can't have a police force that is violating the law. You have to be able to enforce the law without breaking it. The Hyuga clan is perfect for that. With your gentle fist style you can subdue lawbreakers and bring them in relatively unharmed to await my judgment. Naruto explained. Everyone listened attentively to Naruto's vision. Your father isn't a coward. He is far wiser than you know. He has secured the future of his clan, but most importantly, ensured the safety of his daughters so you will never have to endure anything like what I just put you through, or worse. My eyes widened in realization. It was a tough lesson, but now that I could see Naruto's mindset it made me feel a lot better. I just wished he found a less harsh way to prove his point. Hanabi, after your father either passes or becomes too old, you will lead the clan, my police force. You need to be strong. From this day forward you will train directly under me just like Sasuke and Hinata. It will be your responsibility to make sure that things like this never happen to anyone you care about again. And in my empire I expect you to protect all my subjects, Naruto declared. Hanabi hesitated but nodded. Her strength seemed to have returned. Yes, Emperor. She stated obediently while rising to her feet on her own and bowing her head. She was still without a shirt. I took off my jacket and put it over her shoulders. She was hesitant at first, but she didn't resist. Take care of her tonight, Hinata-chan. Naruto instructed. Yes, Emperor Naruto-kun. I replied obediently while leading Hanabi away. Hanabi leaned into me. She was still shaking, but somehow I felt that this experience would bring us closer. General POV. Was that really necessary? Sasuke asked while walking over. Naruto rubbed the side of his neck casually. Maybe not, but at least I got my point across. A girl like that, I didn't think words would have been enough. Naruto explained. Still though, Sasuke frowned. Naruto smirked. Come on, Sasuke. You thought subduing the world was going to be easy? Sasuke shrugged. I guess it's just a bit different when you see what it looks like firsthand. Naruto nodded in understanding. I hear ya. Naruto said while standing and picking up the large boulder. He began to do squats. I feel I should warn you, Sasuke. I'm going to do a lot worse in the coming days. And I'm not going to feel a bit bad about it. The people of this world need a firm hand, Naruto stated resolutely. Sasuke got into a fighting stance and began to deliver powerful kicks to Naruto's body. This was endurance training for both of them. Naruto shrugged off the kicks while Sasuke endured the feeling of attacking what felt like a stone wall. Yeah, that's fine. Just warn me next time. Naruto smirked once more. I'll think about it. Sasuke rolled his eyes as he delivered another kick. You're an evil bastard, you know that, right? Sasuke half joked. That's Emperor Evil Bastard to you. Both boys laughed jovially from the exchange, the two training until night fell. Hinata POV. Hanabi laid with me curled up in bed. It took a while for her nerves to settle. I'm glad she still let me hold her. It had been years since we did this. Hinata. Hanabi whispered. I looked down at Hanabi, who had her head buried in my chest. Yes, Hanabi? Is Naruto, Emperor Naruto, really going to take over the world? Her voice was gentler than I've ever heard. I think he will, I admitted honestly. She thought about my answer. And you are really going to be an empress? It still brought a smile to my face to think about it. Yeah, I guess it won't be so bad to have an empress for a sister. The love and adoration I felt for her was beyond words. I squeezed her even tighter. She returned my affection. I'll make sure you get tons of perks, I stated lightheartedly. She giggled. It has been so long since I heard her giggle. It melted my heart. You'd better. I'll have to thank Naruto later for making this possible. I was doubtful of his motives at first, but now the results were clear. I'll never doubt him again. Good night, Hanabi-chan. Good night, Hinata-ne-chan. My heart fluttered. I couldn't help thinking about the person that brought me and my sister closer. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Ah. The sound of a small voice drew my attention to Hinata and Hanabi's fight. Hanabi was picking herself up off the ground, her legs shaking. I don't really think this is working, Hanabi. If I held back a little more, Hinata began. No! Don't hold back. I can take it. This is how I get stronger, the girl insisted while taking her fighting stance. Hinata frowned, but I could see that Hinata's kindness got in the way of her reason. Hanabi charged again, and moments later Hanabi was knocked on her ass. Sasuke and I spared as well, though our fight was significantly more productive. I created a jutsu that allowed me to attach scrolls to my wrists and arms. The thin pieces of paper were heavy, really heavy. It was hard to move. I had to use my chakra in order to make my body function. Kyubi taught me the training technique. He's a brilliant instructor. It's no wonder I've grown so quickly. At this level of hindrance, a fight between Sasuke and I was more equal, though I always had the upper hand. Still, right now it was a bit too easy. I landed a fist to Sasuke's jaw, making him slide back on his heels. He was distracted. I took advantage while he was looking off to the side. I knew exactly what was on his mind, where he was stealing glances. He'd been watching Hanabi all day. He's so predictable. Really, Sasuke? What's up with you and here the girls? I accused, walking towards him with a knowing smirk. Sasuke averted his gaze, coolly playing it off. I don't know what you're talking about, he retorted. I rolled my eyes. If you are going to lie, at least learn how to be good at it, I lectured. He charged me and we returned to our sparring session. A few moments later Hanabi was knocked down again, and I finally decided to intervene. I caught Sasuke's fist and lazily shoved it back. Alright, that's enough, I stated with a huff. Hinata bowed to me when she saw me approach. God, I loved that. It made me want to ravage her on the spot. Her submission was so sexy. It almost distracted me from the reason I interfered in the first place. Hanabi was rising shakily to her feet. She had a piercing gaze of determination. I can take it, Emperor Naruto, Hanabi insisted. I shook my head. That's not the point. This training isn't efficient if you spend so much time on your ass. I pointed a thumb casually at Sasuke. You'll be sparring with Sasuke from this point forward. You two are a lot closer in skill level. He won't have to hold back as much. In fact, both of you come here, I ordered. Sasuke and Hanabi nodded, walking in front of me now. I made a few hand signs and slammed my palm on the ground. As I performed that jutsu, a cloud of smoke formed, and out of the smoke fell a few scrolls. In the blink of an eye I attached thin paper tags to Sasuke's and Hanabi's body. They both fell to their knees. This should put your power on an equal level. You will find it very hard to move without using your chakra to empower your body. This way you can both train your chakra and body. Soon enough you should be ready to make your first long-lasting clones. I'd already explained to them why creating clones was so important to their growth. Neither of them were ready to make a clone that lasted any significant amount of time, but I planned to fix that. Begin, I ordered. You'd better not, Hanabi began. As she attempted to speak, she was cut off by a kick straight to her stomach. She gasped as her body crashed to the ground. Sasuke wasted no time in his assault, and he didn't stop. He was already in the middle of falling from the air to bring another kick down on her. Hanabi rolled out of the way and rose to her feet. Don't think I'll take it as easy as your sister, Sasuke spoke out with a smirk. Hanabi matched his smirk, while dodging his next strike and going in for one of her own. Good, she retorted. They engaged each other seemingly in slow motion, both adapting to their new weight training while still doing their best to tear each other apart. It was fascinating to watch. However, now that that was out of the way, Hinata let out a squeal as I grabbed her by the butt with two hands and tugged her into an aggressive kiss. We were both getting much better at kissing. It only made sense. We'd gotten a lot of practice. Our tongues danced around one another. We created soft smooching noises. Hinata's face reddened, her breath hot and sweet. She had her arms wrapped around my neck, her eyes half-lidded. I could see the love in her gaze, her complete infatuation and devotion to me was apparent. God, it made me want to do things to her. Unspeakable things. It's about time for our quiet time, my love, I whispered. I've been waiting all day. Hinata cooed needily. I let out a feral growl, tugging her even closer and giving her youthful, plump bottom a firm squeeze. She squealed again and pressed herself closer to me, her budding chest squished against my pecs. Hinata was a year younger than me. Not only that, she was also a lot less mature, with my clones constantly studying for me, observing the village, gaining experience and knowledge. I'd grown up faster than Hinata. In addition to that, I was already going through puberty. It took all my willpower to restrain myself from taking our relationship a step further. I'd read about what that would look like. Hell, I've seen it countless times. Now that I've been training for about 2 years, I've had a lot of time to learn. My clones had read every book in Konoha's public library multiple times. Of course, some books took more than one reading to fully understand, but with a few study techniques I'd mastered a ton of material. I've learned about subjects ranging from cooking, to gardening, war, even jutsu. By pulling some strings with Hinata's father and the Hyuga clan, I was even able to gain access to a number of forbidden scrolls and study those. My knowledge has increased exponentially. Not only have I read and practiced the knowledge I've gained, a while back I started spying on the village. Hundreds of my clones, using henjutsu, spy on the everyday lives of the village. Sometimes my clones discuss themselves as people, animals, even random inconspicuous objects. The spying potential was limitlessness. It makes me question the ethical nature of these abilities. I'm surprised the Hokage and the council don't constantly spy on the village. It seems like it would be all too easy. I won't make that same mistake when I begin my new empire. By spying, I'm able to learn so much about human nature, human relationships. In the year I've been doing it, I've seen a lot, bore witness to things not normally befitting the eyes of a mere 12-year-old. However, I am no mere 12-year-old, not by a long shot. I've seen cheating, murder, unspoken secrets, certain techniques. I can't wait to try a few particular techniques with Hinata, but again, she's not ready and there is too much still to be done. I shouldn't complicate our relationship until I prepare her a bit more. A few more years should do it. Alright, that's enough for today. We'll pick things up first thing in the morning, I called out, making Sasuke and Hanabi stop their sparring. I still held Hinata close in my arms. I was eager to return to our special spot and watch the sun set. It's not even night time. I could go for at least a few more hours. Hanabi complained. Same here. Sasuke spoke up in support of her. If you want us to grow strong as fast as possible, then we should be training at our full potential. Sasuke agrees with me. Right, Sasuke? Hanabi stated while standing up straight and crossing her arms. Sasuke tucked his hands in his pockets and took on his cool, casual, careless posture. She has a point. Sasuke chimed in. I looked over to Sasuke with a knowing smirk. He scoffed and looked away. Shut up. Sasuke spoke without me even needing to say anything. He knew exactly what I was thinking. I waved a hand dismissively. If you two want to kill yourselves in training, then that's fine by me. Just do it far away from here. I have a hot date, I declared while giving Hinata a smack on the butt. I loved making her squeak. We walked away with my arm wrapped securely around Hinata's waist. She leaned against me. She was the perfect girl for me. Hey, we can train at my place. I have this huge backyard by the lake. It's the Uchiha complex, so no one will bother us. Plus, no one will be freaked out if we go all out during the sparring session. We can even use our strongest jutsu if we want. I heard Sasuke propose towards Hanabi. I glanced back to watch them. Oh, I've never been to the Uchiha complex before, Hanabi said in surprise. Sasuke shrugged. First time for everything. Sometimes I can even show you around. It's whatever. Hanabi nodded and the two were gone a moment later. I'm glad they are getting along. Hinata's gentle voice spoke out. My attention was snapped back to her. I grinned. Yes, sure. If that's what you want to call it. I joked before suddenly picking Hinata up bridal style. She let out a surprised shriek and giggled innocently. I couldn't wait to get our special place near the river. We arrived at our favorite spot in a matter of seconds. It was near a small waterfall. It gave a perfect view of the sunset. I wasted no time in laying down with Hinata and thrusting my tongue into her mouth. She sighed and swooned as we fell into that sweet make-out session. This was easily my favorite part of the day. Hinata-ne-chan? Yes, Hanabi-chan? Hanabi paused. I could see she was lost in thought. We laid in my bed, snuggled close. Her head was resting comfortably atop my chest. She loved the soft cushion. Ever since Hanabi started training under Naruto, we continued to sleep together. In the past few weeks we'd only grown closer. Naruto was a bit disappointed that we weren't sleeping together, but he understood my desire to reconnect with my sister after all these years of being bitter rivals. I'm glad he supports me, though I wouldn't hesitate to sleep with him if he insisted. So, what's it like to have a boyfriend? My eyes widened at that question. It definitely wasn't something I was prepared to answer. Nor was it something I expected to come from her. She was still only 9 years old. Sure, I'm 11 and I have a boyfriend, but still. I fidgeted nervously. Well, it's different for everyone, I think. I answered evasively. Hanabi frowned. I know that. But what about you? You both seem happy. A small smile formed on my lips. We are. Hanabi nodded. So do you know if Sasuke has a girlfriend? What? I began to cough involuntarily. She was looking up at me for answers and I couldn't even look her in the eye. My face must have been red as a tomato. I don't think so. I was so not ready for this conversation. Hanabi frowned at my response. Why not? I mean, he seems cool. You would think that a lot of girls would like him. She went on. I still couldn't look at her. I guess a lot of girls in class do, but he doesn't really pay attention to them. I explained. Hanabi's frown deepened. Why not? I shook my head. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. She shook her head this time, giving a huff. No, I can't. It would be weird for me to ask that. He might think I'm uncool. Hanabi protested. I sighed and stared up at the ceiling. Oh gods. The next day. I could tell that Sasuke was really improving with his training. I spared with him now. This gave Naruto a chance to gauge how well Hanabi was improving. He was sparring with her a ways away. You've gotten so strong, Sasuke. I complimented while ducking under one of his kicks. Sasuke smirked. Sure, but I can tell you are still holding back. Me and your sister are a much better match. Sasuke responded. My eyes widened. I don't think Sasuke realized the implications of that sentence. I bit into my bottom lip. I choose my words carefully. So what do you think about Hanabi? I couldn't help the small blush tinting my cheeks as I asked the question. Sasuke didn't seem to notice. He gave a careless shrug. She's cool. Like I said, she and I are much more close in strength, so it's nice training with her. We push each other's limits. I nodded in understanding. That's good. Sasuke raised a brow at my lackluster response. I think he sensed that I had more to say. Look, you don't have to worry about me hitting on her or whatever. I'm done with girls. Sasuke explained. I went wide-eyed. What? I was so thrown off by his words that I barely managed to block a fist he sent my way. I was thrown off balance. Sasuke took the opportunity to duck low and trip my feet from under me. I crashed flat on my back. Sasuke stood over me with one hand in his pocket, his other hand outstretched to help me up. I'm focusing on my training now. I have no time for girls, so you don't have to worry about me doing to Hanabi what I did to you. I took Sasuke's hand and got up. I began to poke my fingers together. It was hard to decide how to talk about this. It's okay. You didn't know that Naruto and I were together. Plus, I'm sure most girls would have liked it. I sputtered. Sasuke eyed me for a second before shaking his head and dropping into his fighting stance. Nah, it was stupid. Thinking back on it, it actually makes me feel silly. I was so convinced that you liked me that I completely misinterpreted your behavior. It made me realize that there is a lot about girls I don't understand. If I took the time to practice and went through trial and error, I could get better at it. But who has time for that? Sasuke said while charging me and starting his attack up again. I felt my heart sink. I'm sorry I did that to you. Don't be. It's not your fault. It was my mistake. Live and learn. I won't make that mistake again, Empress. So again, don't worry about your sister. She's cool, but I have more important things to focus on. Like getting strong enough to kill that bastard. Sasuke said while increasing the pace of his attacks. I was distracted the entire day after that conversation. I think Sasuke sensed it and got a bit frustrated because I wasn't focused on our sparring session. His mood brightened significantly when he and Hanabi began sparring again. I could see the look on both of their faces. They really enjoyed spending time with each other, challenging each other, being with each other. I had to make this right. Naruto, you want me to talk to Sasuke about Hanabi? This was definitely an interest request. Hinata had tears welling up in her eyes. I expected to enjoy our time during the sunset like we did every day, but it seems my empress had something else on her mind. She explained to me what Sasuke said. My gaze wandered in thought. I mean, I can't really blame him. If someone crushed my ego like that, I'd be pretty disillusioned as well. Hinata began to cry now. Shit. I sighed and tightened my grip around her. She quivered in my arms. I can't believe I did that to him. It seemed kind of fun at the time, but now that I see the consequences, Hinata began. Yep, that's part of growing up. Your actions have real consequences, for better or for worse. Plus, I'm the one who asked you to lead Sasuke on like that, so you aren't totally to blame. I don't think I made her feel any better. We have to make this right, Naruto-kun. My emperor, please. She pleaded. I sighed and rubbed the back of my head. It was hard denying her when she got like this. She knew exactly how to press my buttons and get what she wanted out of me, even if she didn't consciously realize what she was doing. Still, it's not as simple as you make it seem. That got her attention. Her confusion was evident. I stood up and brought Hinata with me. We walked over to the edge of the waterfall to stand side by side as we watched the sun set. Hinata maintained a tentative gaze on me. Relationships are very complex. Especially the type of relationship that I'm pretty sure a girl like Hanabi would want. I began. I turned to Hinata and wrapped my arms around her waist. Instinctively, she rested her hands on my shoulders. This would be a tough conversation, and I felt that if we held each other it would be easier to have. She hung off my every word as I explained. Think of relationships like sailing a ship. On the ship you have a crew, a captain and a first mate. From what I've observed of Konoha, most relationships are the type that have two captains on one ship. Two people come together, often with opposing goals. It's a balancing act trying to ensure that each person gets what they want, or what they think they need. One captain steers the boat one way, the other captain the opposite way. The best couples find a delicate balance, and grow a love that lasts a lifetime. Many never figure it out. Often even when they do figure it out, things end up going wrong eventually anyway. Regardless, it's always hard, always a struggle. Hinata was biting into her bottom lip. I don't feel like what we have is a struggle, Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered in that gentle, high-pitched voice of hers. I nodded with a smile, leaning down to place a tender kiss against her lips. I know. That's why I love you so much. Our relationship is rare. You have no interest in being a captain on my boat. You are content to be the first mate, following my lead, deferring to my rule and authority. I respect your opinion and I respect you. However, when I put my foot down, you listen. You support me no matter which way I steer the ship. Even when you disagree, you value my leadership more than getting everything you want. There is no more proof of your devotion than when you obediently stood aside as I taught Hanabi that harsh but needed lesson. Hinata's eyes wondering. I could almost see the wheels turning in her head as she recalled the moment when I assaulted Hanabi. It's because I trust you completely, Naruto-kun. Even if you went further, I trusted that you were doing what was best. God, hearing her say that made my heart throb. You are easy to love, Hinata-chan. I saw immediately the effect my words had on her. She rose up on her tippy toes and crashed her lips against mine. I was so tempted to toss her to the ground and pounce, but I knew this was an important conversation. I allowed the exchange for a few sweet moments before drawing away. While you are easy to love, I seriously doubt Hanabi would be. Hinata nodded. She was just listening now. She was in an infatuated daze. I knew now that whatever I said would be much easier for her to swallow. I smirked. She wasn't the only one with special tools. From what I've seen, Hanabi is the type of girl who would be a captain on the ship. She will have expectations and demands which Sasuke, or whatever man she ends up with, will have to contend with. A relationship with Hanabi would be more of what you would typically find between two people, having all the ups and downs that are so standard. They'll argue, and fight, make up, maybe even break up and get back together. I could definitely see a time in the future where they could marry, have a child, and then get divorced. I think the light bulb went off in Hinata's head. She could see it too. I wouldn't be surprised. Hanabi is really strong. Hinata spoke up. I shook my head. Strength comes in many different forms. You are strong too. It takes a great level of strength to put so much trust in someone else that you defer completely to their leadership. Maintaining that level of devotion is a big risk and takes real courage. On that front, I'd say you have just as much strength as Hanabi. In fact, I'd confidently say that you have more. She swooned and fluttered her lashes. I loved the way she did that. It could be distracting to talk to her sometimes, but I managed to keep my train of thought. Hanabi and Sasuke will play important roles in my empire. Sasuke will be the captain of my royal guard. Hanabi will be the chief of police. During times of war, they will act as top lieutenants. They will be at the war table with me, making decisions that hinge on each other's complete cooperation. I cannot afford for those two to be in disharmony. I walked away from Hinata now. This was extremely important, and I had to make her realize the gravity of the situation and the implication of my words. I turned my back to Hinata. I knew that would get her attention. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? I nodded. I had her undivided attention now. I've studied the rise and fall of nations, kingdoms and empires of the past. A common road to annihilation was disharmony in the ranks of leadership. Internal battling and petty rivalries have ended many a great nation. Greed, selfishness, petty drama, these spelled the death of unity. If I am to create an empire that lasts throughout the ages, it needs to be built on a type of unity that has never before been seen. I will hammer cohesion and togetherness into my people in a way that no ruler has ever done. Each member of my leadership must represent the unity I wish to see in my people. A lover's squabble among my leadership undermines my message and the strict laws which will be based on that message. I turned around to see Hinata's overwhelmed expression. In other words, Hinata, if they cannot be together harmoniously, then I will have to interfere with their relationship. If I have to interfere, either of them will like it. I can't afford to have them distracted by the petty dramas of a typical relationship when they will play such an important role in the new world. Hinata bowed her head. She began to nervously poke her fingers together. So what you are saying is that if they aren't perfect, then you won't allow them to be together? I shrugged. More or less. If they get together with anyone, even if it's not each other, and they let romantic drama get in the way of their duties in any way, then I will either disband the relationship, or cast them from the position of leadership. Sasuke will still be your sworn guard, Hanabi will still be part of the police force, but they will not lead nor have the power, position, and status that comes with such leadership. Hinata audibly gasped. That seems harsh, Naruto-kun. I nodded in agreement, while returning my arms around her waist. Hinata laid her head against my chest. It is harsh, but necessary. The world that I will build will be bigger than us all. It demands sacrifice. And sacrifice is never easy. Hinata, heads up. Sasuke caught an apple that Hanabi threw towards him. He was sitting down, relaxing his back against a tree. Hanabi sat next to Sasuke. The two were taking a break, casually eating an apple next to each other. I sat on Naruto's lap, watching with a conflicted gaze. It was clear how both of them felt. I still caught Sasuke sending Hanabi lingering glances, and she did the same towards him. Neither one of them admitted their feelings. It was so frustrating. I wanted to play matchmaker, but now that I knew the stakes, I wasn't sure that was for the best. My little empress, so distracted lately? Naruto whispered huskily into my ear while planting tender kisses against the side of my neck. I absolutely melted. I raised a hand and entangled my fingers in his spiky blonde hair. It's just I don't know. I admitted. Let's just see where this goes for now. It may be better for things to happen organically. Either way, if it seems like they are going to end up together, then I will have that talk with them. Naruto warned. I glanced back to see his intense gaze. I bowed my head and nodded obediently. Okay. Naruto let out a deep, rumbling chuckle. Being on his lap, leaning back into him, I could feel the powerful vibrations of his chest. He made my toes curl and my entire body quiver with longing. Enough about them. We have a few more minutes of our break, and I don't plan to spend it thinking about anyone else. And I won't have you thinking about anyone else either. All that should be on your mind is me. Understood? Naruto ordered while suddenly picking me up and turning me around on his lap. I squealed in surprise, my face flushing. He was so strong. I nodded and placed a worshipping kiss against his chest. Yes, Emperor Naruto-kun. He grew a confident grin. Good girl. I couldn't help smiling as Hinata and I sparred. We exchanged blows back and forth, either of us gaining advantage on one another. I knew Hinata wasn't holding back. She promised me she wouldn't this time. I didn't either. I sent bone-crushing kicks and punches towards her, which she narrowly dodged. She thrust her palms at me swiftly. She landed grazing strikes but didn't allow chakra to burst from her palm. If she did, then she could accidentally kill me. She didn't need to use her chakra to strike. Her palm strikes were strong enough. Also, given that we were sparring in front of the whole class, we decided not to actually use jutsu. I didn't use any ninjutsu or genjutsu, and she didn't use her exploding palm technique. This was pure taijutsu. Given how strong we both were, it would have been very alarming for the class to watch us move at our true speed. So instead, Hinata and I wore gravity tags under our clothes, slowing us down significantly. Naruto made sure to make all the tags the same weight, so Hinata and I sparred on equal ground. Hinata and I had been going at it for a while. I knew Mizuki would call off the fight soon, so I did something drastic. I went in and took a palm strike straight to the chest in order to land a kick to Hinata's gut. I gritted my teeth. Even without her exploding palm technique, her hit hurt. If she hit me like that a year ago, she would have broken several of my ribs. However, after so long training under Naruto, my body was a lot more durable. The power of her strike sent me sliding back on my heels. Dirt kicked up beneath my feet. Hinata was sent sprawling to the ground. She rolled a bit before flipping herself up with a handstand and twirling herself back into her fighting stance. Alright, that's enough, Mizuki called out. I stood up straight, a pleased smirk on my face. Damn, I lost, I admitted with a chuckle. What? You didn't lose, Sasuke-kun? Did you see how she took that hit? You totally kicked her butt, Sakura screeched from the side. My pleased expression faded immediately upon hearing the voice of that harpie. My usual fan club had been spectating from the side. They cheered me on ignorantly. They were so damn annoying. It was really close, Sasuke-kun, Hinata chimed, drawing my attention to her. I ignored my annoying fan club and headed over to Hinata. I could see she had a little twig in her hair. Without thinking, I casually reached forward and fished the stick out of her purple strands. Her hair had gotten long. Naruto liked long hair, so Hinata grew it out. It now flowed down to her back. You don't have to try and make me feel better, Empress. I'm okay with losing. Just means I have to work harder to get stronger, I whispered. No one was supposed to hear me calling Hinata Empress, so I always whispered when speaking to her like that. It had become second nature. Hanabi would have been really impressed if she were here. Hinata commented supportively. I nodded, my eyes wandered. It would have been nice if Hanabi was here. Can't hurt to show off every once in a while. Hinata and I went our separate ways, finding our own spots to sit alone and watch the rest of the sparring. Hinata walked over to sit a few feet away from Naruto. The Emperor had been watching the entire fight. He seemed pleased. He sat in seclusion under the shade of a tree, his arms resting behind his head. He still maintained his dope persona, though I always noticed the intensity of his gaze. Even while just sitting, Naruto felt like a king. I was surprised no one else noticed. General P.O.V. As Sasuke and Hinata parted ways, neither of them seemed to notice or care about a number of heated glares being sent towards Hinata. Sasuke had been sworn to Hinata's protection for so long that they didn't even notice how intimate their behavior seemed to others. They had no idea that Hinata only belonged to one person, Hinata. I checked my face, turning my head from side to side while washing my hands. Class was almost over and I wanted to make sure I was nice and freshened up for the after-school walk with Naruto. I'd gotten in the habit recently of heading to the bathroom a little before school ended. I heard the bathroom door swing open to my side. It was a bit strange for anyone else to use the bathroom at this time, since everyone should be in class. I guess when nature calls, there is no stopping it. Hey! Someone called out to me, drawing my attention. As soon as I turned, I felt a rough shove against me, forcing me to take a step back. I was immediately on alert. I was a split second from attacking and killing whoever touched me. When I saw it was Sakura, I calmed down and allowed myself to stumble backwards, my back hitting a wall. Sakura? What's going on? Her and Ino stood side by side, both glaring at me. They closed the distance and stood over me menacingly. I was a bit shorter than them both. They didn't scare me, of course. I could kill them with one finger. Still, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. I'd learned my lesson about showing my strength. They couldn't actually hurt me, so I'd play along with their game, for now. Stay away from Sasuke, Ino warned. I frowned. What are you? Sakura slapped me. I recoiled in disbelief. The slap didn't hurt, but the gesture was extremely upsetting. I held my cheek while on the verge of tears. It took everything I had not to retaliate. Don't fucking play dumb. We see the way you act around him. Look, we know you have a crush on that loser Naruto. Just ask him out already and leave Sasuke alone. He's too good for you anyway. The dead last is much more fitting, Sakura hissed. Then they both turned around and walked away. I was absolutely stunned. I don't ever remember being so angry. How dare they? I balled my fists, my entire body shaking in fury. The worst part is that I knew I couldn't hurt them. If I did, then that could get Naruto-kun in trouble. I cried. More out of frustration than anything. I'd been dealing with those two for a while. They never stopped making fun of Naruto for being dead last, and they never stopped bullying me for defending and liking him. When I beat Sakura a year ago, she clearly didn't get the hint. I wasn't direct enough. Now I had to deal with their insolence. Naruto-kun? Yes, Hinata-chan? When you punish people, how does it feel? My brow raised at Hinata's question. It seemed to come out of nowhere. We were curled up in bed, the moonlight shining through our bedroom window. I spooned her, my arms wrapped securely around her body. I couldn't see her face. It feels good, I stated simply. I've told her that before, so I wasn't sure what she wanted to know besides that. So like when they glare at you and upset you, punishing them makes you feel better about it. Hinata pressed. My eyes wandered in thought. Yeah, pretty much. It's cathartic. Eventually they get this particular look on their face. It's like they know how much they fucked up. You can see their regret, and it's probably one of the most satisfying feelings there is. I mused. Hinata went silent after that. Why? I asked. It's just, well, Hinata began. Do you want to try it? Hinata started to grind her thighs together. I could tell how nervous she was. Hey! I called out to her. She turned around so I could finally see her face. She was lost in thought, glancing off to the side. I placed a finger under her chin and raised her head to direct her gaze to mine. I told you, you can do whatever the hell you want. If you want to punish someone, then go for it. She began to poke her fingers together. Hey, are you sure, Naruto-kun? What if someone finds out? I shrugged. No one has found out so far. Hinata-chan, as my empress you will have complete domain over the subjects of my world. Everyone is yours to play with, to do as you see fit. I'll deal with the consequences. Don't worry your pretty little head. I'll take care of everything. Just do. The world is yours. I'm strong enough now to protect you from anything. Go nuts. Hinata bit into her bottom lip in contemplation before smiling at me and leaning forward to steal an intimate kiss. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She cooed. I grinned brightly. Anything for my empress, Sakura. My head ached so much. My entire body was sore. I tried to raise a hand to cradle my forehead, but my arms wouldn't move. A feeling of panic welled up inside me. I fluttered my eyes open, releasing a pained groan. My gaze was blurry. It took a while for my vision to clear. My eyes widened when taking in my surroundings. Where the hell was I? I was in some kind of poorly lit room. It looked kind of like a basement. I could see a closed door on the far side. I shivered. My back was pressed against the wall, my butt rested on the cold floor. I tried to move my arms, but I couldn't, my wrists were bound. I've never been so terrified in my entire life. Did someone kidnap me? The last thing I remember was getting ready for bed in my room. I was in front of my vanity mirror brushing my hair, then everything went black. I think I saw a shadow in the mirror, but I couldn't make out who it was. A muffled voice drew my attention to the side. Oh my God! Ino was sitting down next to me with her arms bound behind her back by rope. Her ankles were bound too, just like mine. I could see the rope was tied to a pipe on the floor. I tried to talk to her, but both our mouths were covered by duct tape. She was just as scared as I was. The door opened on the far side of the room, drawing both our attention. My eyes went wide when I saw who it was. Hinata? Hinata! She walked in with an eerily calm look on her face, her hands resting on her pelvis. Why was Hinata here? She couldn't have done this, right? She was here to rescue us for sure. Right. Hinata walked up to us and looked down with a blank expression. She glanced at both of us, her eyes narrowed, then came the smack. I recoiled from the blows she gave to the side of my face. Ino got one soon after. I couldn't help the tears pouring from my eyes. I tried to speak, but she smacked me again. My face throbbed. Every muffled cry I gave was met with another smack until I went quiet. She finally stopped. I'm sure you are both wondering what you are doing here. Hinata finally spoke up. I looked at her cautiously, glancing over to Ino. She matched my gaze. Neither of us knew what to do. This is a long time coming. I'll teach you some respect. Hinata stated in a haunting voice. I thought for a second that this might be an imposter. No way this was the meek Hinata we knew. But her voice was the same. She even moved the same as she turned her back to us and walked over to a table. I began to twist my wrists, trying to get free. I could see Ino was doing the same. Hinata grabbed something from the table and made her way back to us. It was a pail. She sat it nearby and watched us. I think she noticed what we were trying to do. Her eyes narrowed. Hinata dropped down to her knees. She raised her palms before striking our chests. I screamed. It hurt so bad. What was she doing? I see you are trying to escape. You can't. I made sure of it. If you keep trying, you are only going to make me more angry. Whatever she was doing to me was more painful than anything I've ever felt. It felt like I was being electrocuted. Her finger dug into my rib and I convulsed in agony. Finally she pulled back and I began to whimper. I went still, hoping not to make her any angrier. Better, she said while reaching forward. I flinched away from her. She didn't strike us again. This time she removed the tape on our lips. Hinata, stop this. Why are you doing this? You'd better let us go. I shouted with tears streaming down my face. When everyone finds out about this, they are going to lock you away for good. They might even execute you. If you let us go right now, then maybe we'll have them go easy on you. Ino spoke up angrily. Hinata glared at us before thrusting her palms into our chest. The pain came again like a wave. Oh, Hinata, stop. Help. Ino screamed. Shut up. Hinata yelled, thrusting her hand against us again. I coughed violently, gasping for breath. Hinata, please, I pleaded. When I get out of here, Ino ranted. I looked over at Ino in panic. Shut up, Ino. No, she's dead. Ino was livid. Hinata stood up and balled her fists. She shook her head and glared down at Ino. I won't let you just keep being like this. I'll teach you no matter what it takes. Hinata stated resolutely while focusing her ire on Ino. I watched in horror as Hinata began to beat Ino. She slapped her, hit her with palm strikes and poked at the girl's body. Ino screamed at first, but after a while she stopped making noise. I was mortified. I'd never seen Hinata so angry. Hinata, please stop. We've learned our lesson. I begged. No. Hinata had tears pouring down her face while she screamed those words. Her face was bright red. She fell back on her butt, finally ceasing her attack on Ino. Ino looked beaten now, the girl's head bowed. Hinata was panting, hugging her knees to her chest. Why are you doing this, Hinata? I tried to reason with her. She glared at me. After everything you've done, you really have to ask? I was taken aback. I took some time to think. My eyes widened in realization. I'm sorry for making fun of Naruto and teasing you about him. I blurted out. She narrowed her gaze. What else? She questioned. My mind raced. I shook my head in frustration. I'll make it easy for you. Came another voice. I recognized that voice. Oh my God! Sasuke walked into the room, closing the door behind him. He walked forward with his usual cool stride, pockets in his hands carelessly. I was shocked. He walked over to Hinata and held out a hand for her. She took it and rose to her feet. Sasuke bowed to her. Empress, he declared respectfully. Ino raised her head now and had a look of disbelief just like me. Sasuke-kun? I questioned. Sasuke eyed me before turning his attention to Hinata. You should gag them. I could hear them from upstairs. To do this right, this is going to take a while, and I'd rather not hear their annoying voices. If you approve, Empress, Sasuke proposed. Hinata nodded. Thanks for the advice, Sasuke-kun. Please take care of it. I need a minute. Hinata walked away from us over to the table again. While she did, Sasuke bent down and took a roll of duct tape from his pocket. Sasuke-kun? I questioned desperately. He shook his head and narrowed his eyes. Pathetic. Sasuke spat scornfully while placing tape over my mouth. I whimpered now. What did I do to deserve this? Hinata. It was easier to torture them with Sasuke there. After a while my hands stopped shaking. I was so angry, but at the same time I couldn't help feeling guilty with every blow. Sasuke seemed to care less than I did. I wanted them to suffer, but it was still hard. Having someone else there with me to share the experience made it easier. After a few hours we left Sakura and Ino in the cellar and turned off the lights. I was in a pretty good mood during training. Naruto asked me about it. You seem especially upbeat. Naruto pointed out. I nodded. I actually feel great. He raised a brow. Oh, my eyes wandered. Well, you remember what we talked about last night? Naruto's eyes trailed off. He only took a moment to remember. His eyes widened. I could see that he figured it out. That was fast. So you found someone to punish? You little devil. He teased. And that was that. He didn't even ask who it was. I don't think he cared. I guess to him it didn't matter. What mattered was that I was happy. Naruto's support emboldened me. I tortured Sakura and Ino for 2 more days. It was a little bit easier now. I fed them and gave them something to drink. I didn't plan on keeping them for good. I just wanted to make sure that they learned to never disrespect Naruto or me again. With Sasuke there to help, I think they realized that they had no chance with him, so hopefully after this they wouldn't bully me about being near Sasuke either. I don't think they'd be bullying anyone ever again. After a while I began to ignore their screams. I scared even myself, but how much I began to enjoy it. That is until, I think I might have gone too far. Naruto. Hinata seemed really happy lately. She must have been having a lot of fun with the punishment. I was pleasantly surprised. It actually warmed my heart. I was pretty sure that the enjoyment of torture was a weird and rare thing. I didn't think I'd find anyone to enjoy it with me. It was nice to know that Hinata found it satisfying as well. Made me feel a bit less lonely in that regard. I never asked who she was punishing. I wanted to send her the message that to me it didn't matter. She could have the Hokage for all I cared. No one was off limits. I wouldn't let anyone stop her. I wanted her to feel empowered. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't the wisest choice. Oh well, I'll handle it. Today I immediately noticed Hinata's sour mood. Usually she'd go to the basement right after school to spend a couple hours there. Then she'd come to the clearing to train. I didn't mind that she trained a little less than Sasuke and Hanabi. Hinata had multiple clones training for her at all times, so she could afford to take time out of her day for fun. But today she came to the clearing after only 10 minutes. She looked distressed. She walked up to me, rubbing her arm nervously. Hinata-chan, are you okay? Hanabi stopped her sparring session with Sasuke to call out to Hinata in concern. Empress? Sasuke questioned cautiously. Hinata headed straight for me and fell into my arms, burying her head into my chest. I think I messed up, Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered in a vulnerable manner. I nodded in understanding. Let's go see. I instructed while leading Hinata out of the clearing. We'll be back. I called out to Hanabi and Sasuke. They maintained concerned looks, but they didn't question it. They knew I'd take care of it. Hinata opened the door to the torture room and looked back at me tentatively while leading the way. I went wide-eyed. God damn it. Sakura and Ino were sitting passed out on the floor. They looked terrible. Their clothes were dirty, hair frizzed and unkempt. I could see obvious bruises on their bodies. Hinata stood in front of them with her head bowed, the girl poking her fingers together. It's Ino, she explained. I nodded and walked forward, squatting down in front of Sakura. Hey! I called out, tapping Sakura on the forehead. She slowly lifted her head, growing a look of surprise when seeing my face. She looked at me cautiously. I don't think she knew if I were a friend or foe. I grabbed her chin and lifted her head roughly. She whimpered and closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. I think she realized at that moment that I was not her friend. I turned her head from side to side, gauging her reaction. Well, she's fine at least, I stated carelessly. Hinata bit into her bottom lip, nodding at me before shifting her attention to Ino. I moved to Ino now and did the same thing. Ino didn't respond. I lifted her head and saw the look in her eyes. She wouldn't look at me. She was gazing out at nothing. Hey! I said while giving Ino a small smack to the face. She recoiled but gave no other response. I sighed. I see. What's wrong with her, Naruto-kun? Hinata whimpered. I stood up and reached an arm for Hinata. She recognized the gesture, immediately scampering over to my side and leaning against me. I wrapped an arm around Hinata and led her out of the room. Once the door was closed, I turned to her. Naruto-kun? She questioned desperately. I could see how upset she was. I pulled her into my warm embrace to calm her down. It's okay, Hinata-chan. I know what happened. What is it? You broke her. Hinata let out an audible gasp, covering her mouth with both hands. What does that mean? I rubbed the back of my neck. Well, it's hard to explain. I'll try as best as I can. Basically, everyone has different pain tolerances. When you push someone to their limits, and make them lose all hope, then they recede into themselves. It's a coping mechanism. They've lost all hope, so they just give up, I explained. Hinata looked at me in horror. Oh my gods! Tears were streaming down her face now. Oh Naruto! What do we do? I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted to make them pay, and I guess I just went overboard. Naruto! She rambled, sputtering. I placed a finger against her lips. Sure, it's okay. She shook her head. But how, Naruto-kun? I did this. I broke her. I'm a monster. I was just having so much fun and I didn't know God. Hinata broke down, wrapping her arms around herself and backing away. I grabbed her and pulled her back into my tight hold. It's okay. It's okay. We can fix it. But how, Naruto-kun? Don't you trust me? I questioned. That snapped her out of her despair immediately. Of course I do, Emperor Naruto-kun, she said in alarm. I narrowed my gaze. Then why are you still crying if I told you I can fix it? I challenged. She wiped her tears rapidly. I'm sorry. She whispered pathetically. I chuckled and leaned down to plant a kiss on her forehead. No need to apologize. Just calm down and I'll take care of everything. Okay, Naruto-kun. She laid her head against my chest and went quiet. We maintained that hold until her nerves were settled. I had Hinata work side by side with me for the next few days as I showed her what to do. In order to make this right, we have to give Ino hope again. All you've given her is the stick. Now she needs the carrot. We clothed Ino with clean clothes and set out a table and beds in the basement. We knew she wouldn't try to escape. We took care of her over the next few days. Hinata stayed with her, tending to her needs. We promised her that we'd let her go when she got better and was able to behave normally. That's the carrot. The promise of freedom. Are you sure it will work, Naruto-kun? It will work well enough. You only had her for a few days, so after some therapy she should be fine. I'm just glad you got me right away, otherwise the damage would probably be irreparable. We kept Sakura locked up but didn't torture her. Sakura wasn't broken, but I needed to make sure she knew the consequences of behaving disrespectful towards me and my empress. After a few days I felt that Ino was ready to leave. She wasn't fully healed, but at least she could function. I knocked her out and left her in the forest. We knew she'd be able to find her way home. When I returned to the basement I found Sasuke and Hinata sitting at the dining table. The basement was filled with furniture now. We used it as a sort of recovery ward. I took a seat at the head of the table. Hinata and Sasuke sat opposite each other. There was a long silence. So do you really think she'll be okay, Naruto-kun? I placed my arms behind my head and stared up at the ceiling. Probably. I stated simply. Hinata didn't seem to be satisfied with that answer, but I didn't want to lie to her. This is my fault. I should have said something. Sasuke spoke up now. No, you can't blame yourself, Sasuke-kun. I did this. Hinata insisted. Enough. I spoke up now, drawing both their attention. Sasuke, it is your job to look after my empress. If she makes a mess, you are supposed to clean it up. She needs your guidance and advice. You should have read the situation better and advised Hinata on what could happen. I lectured. Sasuke bowed his head in shame. Hinata-chan, you didn't tell me about the nature of your punishment. You didn't tell me what you were doing and who you were doing it to. It stopped my ability to intercede and show you proper guidance. Hinata bowed her head and wrapped her arms around herself. I should have asked you about the details of what you were doing. I should have been more involved. In my arrogance I allowed you to suffer needlessly instead of helping you draw from my experience. I know all about this and I could have prevented it. I continued. The two looked at me tentatively. Still, no one is to blame. Blame implies that we did something wrong. I won't let us think like that. Hinata-chan, you were well within your right to do whatever you wanted to them. An outcome happened that you didn't like, but that didn't make your actions wrong. These types of things are always going to happen. We deal with them when they happen. It's called consequences. Beating ourselves up about it won't do anything. What we do is learn from it. Simple as that. I stated resolutely. Hinata poked her fingers together. I could see that she disagreed, but she didn't want to contradict me. Especially not in front of Sasuke. Speak your mind, Hinata-chan. It's just, how can what I did not be wrong? After what I did to them, to her. I didn't like it. Now that I've gotten a chance to go over the past few days, I feel sick, Hinata admitted. I nodded in understanding. You just discovered something you don't like. Doesn't make it wrong. I clarified. Hinata held a confused look. I think I get it. Sasuke spoke up, drawing our attention now. Empress, in the Emperor's world, right and wrong is what he says it is. He's granted you exception to the laws and rules that will be imposed upon everyone else. You can kill, torture, maim, and do other bad things that would be bad if anyone else did it. But in this world the Emperor has granted you special rights. Only you, so this isn't about what you did being wrong. If you don't like it, then don't do it. Do something else. You can do whatever you want, and it's all justified. Sasuke explained. I nodded in approval. Hinata took some time to think about what Sasuke said. Why is it okay for me to do these things if it isn't okay for anyone else? She questioned. I grinned. Now we were getting somewhere. Because laws and morals are arbitrary. People just make them up as they go along. That's why this world is so chaotic. Everyone thinks about morality differently. Different cultures, families, religions. Even then a lot of them don't adhere to their own rules. It's all a shit show. When you boil it down, most everyone does what's in their best interest, or the best interest of their families. Morality is a fairy tale. Functionally, historically, it has just been used to control people. That's where I come in. I will make the law of the land real, not because I am more right, moral, or ethical than anyone else. My word will be the law of the land because I am the strongest. I won't just be an emperor. I will be a god, dictating right and wrong. The atrocities we commit will only be justified when we do it. which means that everyone else will still have to follow my laws in order to survive and thrive in my empire. I will shape this world in any way I see fit, and if anyone defies me they will be devoured. In doing so I will monopolize the evil in the world, making the evil die with me. Hinata-chan, you are a part of that as well. We can do whatever we want because it's our job to be the judge, jury, and executioner. We will cause a lot of pain by bringing the world to heel. Someone has to do it so that the innocent people of my world won't have to. There is no other way to create a world full of innocence without someone monopolizing evil. Since that's going to be us anyway, we might as well enjoy ourselves. In the face of all that, what's a little torture? This is child's play compared to what comes next. I think I finally got it. What I did wasn't wrong because Naruto is the law. If he says it isn't wrong then it isn't, and that's that. Still, I still don't want to do that again, Naruto-kun. Naruto reached an arm out for me. I was happy to follow his silent command. I got up and moved over to him, sitting on his lap. He held me close. Then you don't have to. Naruto lifted me up and held me bridal style. I sighed contently. I was still a bit upset, but being carried by Naruto always felt really nice, and it did a lot to cheer me up. Sasuke, let Sakura go in the morning. Make sure she knows her place. Naruto instructed. Yes, Emperor. Sasuke gave a respectful bow as Naruto carried me away. We went to bed early that night. Tonight had been really stressful. Naruto-kun. Yes, Hinata-chan. I don't think I hated it all. For a while there I did enjoy it. She fidgeted a bit. I raised a brow. Why did she feel the need to say that? Unless, did you do that for me? I questioned suspiciously. Hinata hesitated. A little, I guess. I wanted them to pay for being so mean to you and me. But I also wanted to be more like you. I've been watching you for so long, just sitting on the sidelines. I felt like if I joined in then I could be closer to you, understand you better. I wanted to share your passion. I shook my head and raised a hand to trail through my hair. She looked up at me cautiously. I'm sorry I couldn't enjoy it in the end. She whispered under her breath. I signed and squeezed her tight. Hinata-chan, you are so adorable. I got her to blush. Good. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I chuckled and leaned down to give her an Eskimo kiss. You don't have to force yourself to do those types of things just to impress me or to be close to me. No one is closer to me than you, and that will never change. She nodded, avoiding my gaze. I guess I just get insecure sometimes. I love you so much, and I just want to be as close as possible. I raised a brow. Do you feel like we aren't close? She shook her head frantically. No, nothing like that. I love how close we are. It's just that I want to be perfect. I want to share everything you do. That means sharing your passions too. Where is this coming from, Hinata-chan? Her eyes wandered. Well, Sasuke and Hanabi still aren't dating. Maybe they never will. But they still talk to each other all the time about their passion. Which is how to grow stronger. They speak excitedly towards each other, challenge each other, push each other. Their eyes sparkle when they train together. Even if they don't end up dating, they will make perfect partners. It all made sense now. I didn't realize you felt that way. What can I do to make you feel closer to me? I was genuinely surprised. Hinata and I were inseparable. We had been for years. I shared with her every bit of my life. I didn't keep secrets from her, I told her everything. I didn't think it was possible for me to be closer to a person. That's how I felt, but what mattered right now was how she felt. This was my empress. I would do anything to make her feel better, to make her feel as happy as possible, as close as possible to me. Hinata thought over my question. She frowned. I don't know. My passion is your passion. Outside of spending time with me and training, punishing the villagers seemed to be your favorite thing. I wanted to be more a part of that, but I see now that I didn't need to be. I was being silly. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I thought over Hinata's response. You don't need to be sorry. I really appreciate you wanting to be closer to me. Actually, I have an idea. Hinata looked up to me curiously. Hinata, please stop. Emperor, Empress. Please. Sakura screamed. Naruto stood behind me, holding me close as he guided my hand. I held a kunai, cutting into Sakura's side. I could see her insides. Well, the illusion of her insides. Naruto cast the genjutsu on Sakura and me. It allowed us to be in a virtual realm where I could inflict pain on Sakura, but it wouldn't actually show on her physical body. Okay, Sakura-chan. You've been so good that we are going to let you go tomorrow. I stated happily while pulling the kunai from her body. She panted and looked at me doubtfully. Really? I nodded. As I nodded, the genjutsu dissipated and we were back in the attic. Sakura was still on the cold floor. Her clothes were clean now. We took better care of her since breaking Ino. I didn't want to break Sakura too. Naruto said that we could torture Sakura a little bit more without breaking her. He showed me a number of techniques I could use for the future. I bent over and undid Sakura's bindings, freeing her. She rubbed her wrists, and looked up at us tentatively. I hope you appreciate this. Naruto spoke out with his eyes narrowing. Yes. Thank you, Emperor Naruto, Empress Hinata. Sakura said with a deep bow. Here. Show us how appreciative you are. Naruto said, raising a foot in front of Sakura. Sakura took a moment to contemplate Naruto's meaning. Her eyes widened. She immediately dipped her head down to kiss the top of Naruto's foot. Good girl. Naruto praised. Thank you, Emperor. Sakura stated obediently. Naruto raised a brow, looking over to me. Sakura got the hint, crawling forward on all fours to kiss my feet as well. Is this good, Empress? She questioned. I looked to Naruto. He nodded in approval. Yes, that's good, thank you. Sakura blurted out, bowing again and placing her head to the ground. Naruto turned around and brought me along. I clung to his side. Follow. Naruto commanded. Sakura didn't need to be told twice. She rose to her feet. As soon as she did, Naruto stopped, turning his head to the side to glance harshly over to Sakura. She froze and immediately dropped down to her knees. Naruto began to walk again. She got the hint. She crawled on all fours, following us close behind. You see, Hinata-chan? This is more satisfying than breaking them. You cause just enough pain for them to show proper respect. The best part is that they deserve it. They earned this. I've broken a few before. I understand why you would feel bad about it. Honestly, it bummed me out too. So I don't do it anymore. I teach them just enough so they learn respect, but they are still able to act as functioning and useful members of society. Naruto lectured as we made our way into the basement room that we'd turned into a healing ward. I nodded in fascination, looking back to Sakura, who was still crawling behind us. How do you know when to stop? I wanted to know everything I could. Naruto was a great teacher. You have to get good at reading people. You'll get better with time. This could be an alternative to devouring those who commit lesser sins. Give them a second chance. Wow. I didn't think people would get a second chance in your world, Naruto-kun. Yep. The reason I punish people is because it's satisfying. But being merciful can also be satisfying too. It's the best of both worlds, really. Naruto said in a chipper manner. I marveled at him. That's so beautiful, Naruto-kun. He rubbed his nose with a big grin. Thanks, babe. He stated happily, bending down to give me a kiss on the cheek. I swooned, fluttering my lashes adoringly. He let out a demonic growl. I shivered. After a moment of our lingering gaze, Naruto turned us around to face Sakura. She was waiting patiently on all fours, bowing her head submissively. That will be your bed. I trust you won't try to leave without permission. Naruto proclaimed, pointing to the bed that Ino had been sleeping on in the last few days. I would never dream of it, Emperor. Sakura assured us. She crawled forward and began to pepper Naruto's toes with kisses. All right. Rise and get to bed. Naruto stated in a huff, waving her off dismissively. Sakura finally stood up and bowed at the waist. She walked meekly over to the bed and climbed under the covers without another word. Naruto and I made our way up the stairs. He closed the basement door behind us once we reached the top. I noticed that he left the door unlocked. Aren't you afraid she'll try to escape, Naruto-kun? Naruto chuckled. Not in the least. He stated confidently. I made a mental note of that, of how much it took for Naruto to feel confident that he'd thoroughly trained someone. In the years I've been with him and helped him punish the villagers, I had only seen bits and pieces of what Naruto did. I was never a part of the full process. There was a lot I didn't understand. I didn't ask questions, I wasn't curious. I just did what Naruto told me. Things were different now. I was more hopeful and very curious. Showing mercy after torture was a lot better than just continuing to inflict pain until they broke. Naruto made it fun again. The best part was that we did it together now. He tutored me, helped me, gave me advice, and was eager to answer all my questions. I could feel us growing closer. It made me so happy. I think this was the start of something beautiful. There was never anything wrong with our relationship. Naruto loved me more than anything, I had no doubts about that. But I still felt the need to improve. This was my passion. Getting better and better at being Naruto's perfect wife. This was a hard few days, but I've grown a lot from it. I only plan to grow more. I'll show him. By the time we made it back to bed, it was almost morning. Thank you for teaching me today, Naruto-kun. I whispered sweetly. Anything for my empress. Thank you for being so perfect. I'm not perfect yet, Naruto-kun. Even though things are alright now, I still messed up. Naruto slapped my butt, making me squeak and look at him meekly. Stop that. I said that you could do whatever you want and I meant it. There will be consequences for everything you do, good and bad. And I'll deal with them happily. So I don't want to hear about you messing up, or doing wrong or anything like that. It's impossible. Just do what you want. That's the benefit of being my empress, so cut it out. You can do anything. Well, mostly anything. Naruto's voice trailed off. Mostly? He grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Well, anything except cheat on me. If I ever found you with another guy, I'd probably go crazy. Naruto said lightheartedly. I would never. I stated in alarm. He chuckled. Good. I rubbed a circle in his chest with the finger. I want to be so perfect that you never think about doing anything like that either. I whispered under my breath. How could I think about anyone else when I have such a perfect wife already? I smiled brighter than I had in days. We shared a passionate kiss. I'm so glad to hear that, Naruto-kun. If I ever found you with another woman, well, I wouldn't feel guilty about breaking her. I let out a surprised shriek. Naruto rolled over on the bed so he was on top of me. He bit into the side of my neck dominantly. A shiver of pleasure creeped up my spine. This was so sudden. I was not prepared for his forceful onslaught. Naruto? I questioned in an infatuated daze. You can't expect me to control myself when you say sexy stuff like that. He growled. I filled our bedroom with squeals as he pounced. We didn't get much sleep that night. General P.O.V. Knocks rattled against the wood of a door. Dull eyes stared forward, waiting for the door to open. It swung open, a woman on the other side. The woman let out a sharp gasp. Ino! The woman cried out while dropping to her knees and engulfing the blonde in a hug. Ino rose shaky arms up to embrace her mother. Mommy. Ino whimpered. Ino's mother pulled back, scanning her daughter's face. Seeing her daughter's expression broke her heart. A man sprinted into view, freezing when seeing the image before him. Daddy? Ino spoke up. Sweetheart. He called out, dashing forward at blinding speed to join his family in that sweet hug. He immediately noticed the girl's face. He and Ino's mother exchanged glances. Their eyes narrowed. Whoever did this to their baby would pay dearly.